You are listening to The Robert Scott Bell Show.
These days, it's more important than ever to know where our food and supplements come from. That's why, at Plus CBD Oil, we believe it is critical to manage every step of the supply chain process. It all starts with certified hemp seeds. Our hemp grows tall, like bamboo, and is harvested within 3 months. After harvest, the hemp is dried and sent to our CO2 extraction facility, where our raw formula is extracted. The extracted oil is then lawfully imported to our state-of-the-art in-house laboratory in San Diego, California. There, we convert our raw formula into our total plant complex and gold formula oils. Our oils are then used to formulate our award-winning Plus CBD oil product line. The products are then tested for cannabinoid content and the absence of harmful substances. But we go one step further. We then send our products to a third-party laboratory to verify concentration, quality, and safety. After that, the products have finished their journey and are ready to be shipped to your local health food store. Because at Plus CBD Oil, we believe how you do anything is how you do everything. That's why, from seed to shelf, we are committed to providing safe and effective hemp CBD products for you and your loved ones. It's our promise to you. Learn more about our commitment to full traceability at pluscbdoil.com.
The Robert Scott Bell Show.
I listen to get accurate, up-to-date information.
I've learned so much from him.
It is awesome. It's the best entertainment that I've found.
You rock the health world. Keep it up. I love you.
Now, the voice of health, freedom, and liberty, here's Robert Scott Bell.
I thought the coronavirus was all around me. Who wasn't wearing a mask? Who weren't wearing gloves? Some lady was standing 5.5 feet away from me. I don't know what to do anymore. Who do I listen to? Do I listen to the experts on TV or the experts on Facebook? What happened to Dr. Fauci? How come he's not in the news conference anymore? What did they do to Dr. Fauci? Oh, my God. Did a spaceship land in a rose garden and take him away to a different planet? Oh, my God. I got to calm down. I got to calm down. Oh, my God. What if the virus is out here? What do I do with the gloves and the mask? What if the virus is on these? How do I get rid of them? I don't want to put them on the street. That's not nice. I'll get rid of it later. Oh, my God. I touched the steering wheel. What if the virus is on the steering wheel now?
Put him up. Put him up. That was the greatest opening to the Robert Scott Bell Show since the coronavirus nonsense started, since Corona Crazy happened. I think this guy's the reincarnation of the guy that played the Cowardly Lion in Wizard of Oz. I heard that. It's like, put him up. Put him up. That was great. Super done. Great way to start our journey into the weekend here on the Robert Scott Bell Show. Welcome one and all. Welcome Super Don. And I'm excited about today's show. Not that I'm not normally, but very pumped up because we got some great stuff, great guests to help y'all get through and into that weekend mode, that celebration of liberty, and a little bit of laughter too. What do you think of his performance? I think that's an actual comedian.
Hilarious. Yeah, that was absolutely hilarious.
Did you find out the name of that guy that did that?
No, I mean, I don't recognize him. He was wearing like a firefighter uniform, or shirt or something like that. It looked like on there.
Costume of some kind.
Yeah. Super funny. Super funny. Yeah.
That's a way to start.
We need laughs. We need laughs.
Don't we need them? Oh, my gosh. Well, listen, good stuff today on the show. Guess what? Hashtag bring back Marlon. You guys win because Marlon's back. Marlon Glenn will be joining us at the bottom of the hour from Motor City Health in Detroit. No, I asked him, but he couldn't find Ted Nugent, couldn't bring him on with him. So Marlon's going to have to carry the load himself, and he's fully capable, and his whole family is amazing.
I'd love to get Ted Nugent on this show.
Wouldn't that be awesome? Well, we would be triggering some leftists big time then.
Yeah.
Also, hashtag Megaphone Marine, Dr. Cordie Lee Williams California. We've got updates on 1776 Forever and big events coming up Memorial Day weekend in California if you're going to be there. We're going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina with Dr. Batar and Bruce Lipton and Paul Baratero at the Advanced Medicine Conference. We're going to travel. Yeah, that's their plan. We're actually going to do it. I've got my silver mask just in case they make me wear a mask to get on the plane. I've got it from Silverite Global, so I'll be covered just in case. Hopefully they won't, but I want to be there for that. Anyway, thank you all for being here. We got a lot more healing to go, and we're just getting warmed up. I got John Rappaport for Sunday. I'm just, like I said, I can't be in the present moment. I just got to get there already. Where's Marlon Glenn? Give him a moment. He's going to be ready. He's warming up right now. He's doing push-ups, jumping. He's running a marathon right now just to be ready for the show. You got to work out to be on the Robert Scott Bell Show. Isn't that right, Super D?
Yes, I concur.
Mr. Workout over there, working out on his tushy. Anyway.
That's me.
All right.
Yes.
Well, let me officially start the show. Y'all are going, dude, what happened to Robert, man? He's hyped up. I am. I'm excited about the show, and getting a little silly to get going is a good thing. So let's see what's in the show notes just so I can get grounded again in what we're planning to do today on the air. So here we got. There are, the last couple of days, actually this week, because we've had medical doctors on, it's apparently been a week where skepducks have just kind of come out of the woodwork from behind the bushes. And if they've not attacked the Robert Scott Bell Show or me, they've attacked my guests, like Dr. Janet Levitin. I mean, these people just cannot stand that these doctors have a viewpoint that includes vitalistic views and non-reductionist views of the body and how to maintain health, much less regain it, or prevent things from happening. So we're going to talk about the pro-vaccine strategies that skepducks are engaged in, and we're going to give them some tips. Not that they're going to take them. I know y'all are going, why? Don't give them any hints. They're not going to take them. Super Don will explain why. We got more people coming out and saying, you know what? Even if I'm pro-vaccine, I ain't taking Bill Gates' coronavirus vaccine. Not happening. And then others that are saying, you know what? This homeschooling thing's not bad. Not a bad idea. I think we're going to continue with that. So our first official story coming from the mainstream press. This is from Business Insider. It says, anti-vaxxers are already opposing a coronavirus vaccine that doesn't exist. And their movement could mean the virus never goes away. Now, the virus is never going away, y'all. It's the height of lunacy and fallacy to say that exosomes/viruses are disappearing from the earth because we vaccinate you. That just is so not scientific of a statement to say, any more than people who say we've eradicated smallpox have any level of intelligent cells functioning within their body. It's not happening. You just renamed it. I know how the game is played. But I will say, interestingly enough, if they do slander us with the term anti-vaxxer, even though most of us are what we call ex-vaxxers. I was vaccinated as a child. So was my wife. Almost to death, honestly, in my wife's case. She was brutalized by these vaccines because she was a civilian military brat. So they hammered her again and again and again. So if we're ex-vaxxers, not anti-vaxxers, I said out loud, yes, I'm opposed to vaccines as they are constructed today because there is no basis for injecting people with toxic poisons, however minute you claim it is. Right. Of course, we're even more minute in terms of quantitatively speaking because we don't poison the body with homeopathy. Of course, we're so minute that they'll say infinitesimally, I'm just making that version of that word up, that we can't possibly work because we can't kill anybody with a homeopathic remedy. And the evidence for the legitimacy and validity of real medicine is that it can kill you. How proud are you of that stance, skepducks? What say you? But let's go back to this headline. It says anti-vaxxers are already opposing a coronavirus vaccine that doesn't exist. Now, it is questionable as to whether it exists or not. Yesterday, we played a clip briefly. We didn't go into it heavily of President Trump saying he will activate the military to deliver vaccines when they're ready in December. Now, I have a hard time knowing what to make of this, knowing that the guy is a strategic guy, knowing that he does know about vaccine injury and that they are not safe. But I can't read into him or his reasons for saying what he said. So I can't say anything positive about it because I don't know the strategy, if there is any. Only, I have to be honest, negative about that because there's no basis to activate the military on U.S. soil to deliver what? substances for injection that have not been tested against inert placebo. Now, some of you may say, well, Robert, you're being anti-science. You're not very scientific if you oppose something before it even exists. Okay, maybe. I'm not necessarily going to acquiesce to that statement, but I'll acknowledge that you can make the argument. Well, how can you oppose it before it even exists? You don't know what it is. Well, we know what they're proposing, including the mRNA injections. And I can stand steadfast against that, monkeying with my genetic or integrity or my kids via injection. Not going to happen. So what are we to make of the vaccine that supposedly doesn't exist? We just blindly accept it? How is that scientific? For those of you pro-science skepducks claiming to be pro-science, you're actually anti-science because you're going, no matter what it is, it's good. I don't care if it's not been tested against inert placebo. It doesn't matter. It is good. It is it's a dogma in your belief system. It is part of your cult-like devotion to the Church of Pharmaceutical Mysticism vaccine denomination. And as I've said so many times before, vaccines are sacrament in the Church of Pharmaceutical Mysticism. So let's go to the second article today in the show notes. This is from Newsweek, big time mainstream media source. This is a fascinating article, and Super Don was schooling me on it. That's how good Super Don is on this subject. It says the anti-vaxxers are winning the battle on Facebook. Hooray for us. We're winning, right? Whatever that means. What does that mean? We're winning, right? Do we get a prize? Do we get a medal? No, what are we doing? We're engaging in discussions and memes and communication that goes against the dogma of the Church of Pharmaceutical Mysticism and therefore needs to be censored, needs to be shut down, needs to be attacked, whether it be Adam Schiff in California or Zuckerberg for Facebook or Twitter feeds being shut down, YouTube banning videos. But as we said yesterday in a message to our skepduck friends, you're doing it wrong. If you really want to, you say you're for the kids, you're for protecting kids, you want to come after us, you want to stop people. It's like, all right, we're going to go through some techniques for you because we know you're not going to listen anyway. You only hear what you want to hear. You can't communicate on a human level. You can't interact intellectually with people who have perspectives that are different than yours. You hear words and then you twist them into what you want them to be and what you want them to mean, even if they aren't said that way or even if they aren't meant that way. What is it?
That's the definition of a crank.
A crank. Oh, no.
That comes straight out of the...
that couldn't be that skepducks are cranks.
That just falls over into denialism.
They don't tend to look at themselves in the mirror, but when they do, they see, the most beautiful flowing robes. And, we see the devil horns on them, but... it's an interesting article, Super D, because this guy, Neil Johnson, professor of physics, and I'll show everybody this real quick, at George Washington University, he analyzed Facebook communities containing close to 100 million individuals, grouping them into clusters to map how members interact, shift, and share links. So it's interesting. He color codes it, all right? So let's see what kind of color codes he says that the perfect storm has resulted in information, legitimate information, as they call it, being drowned out by fringe fake science. We expected to find a network where establishment medical science, government, public health advice, blue, okay? So the officials are in blue. Forms a very large, strong core surrounded by a small number of fairly disorganized communities expressing a fringe view. So rather than being the strongly defined army that some have claimed we are disorganized communities expressing a fringe view like opposing vaccines. We're the red group, okay? So they're color coding us. Blue for the officials, red for all of us who have fringe views that are not accepted by the boys in blue. We found the complete opposite, Johnson said. Instead, there's a complex three-sided online war over trust in establishment, medical science, and health guidance. And red is now in the driving seat, as they said.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I know. Look, we are in the driver's seat, boys and girls. I hope you're feeling really good and in control. Instead of being a two-sided war, I'm reading this because it's important to understand, of red versus blue, anti-vaccination has pulled in huge population of people who ordinarily don't talk a lot online about such issues. Communities on Facebook of pet lovers or parents with a particular interest. These users are akin to a civilian population in an insurgency, and we call them green. the green group. Blue, the officials, the skepducks, is fighting in the wrong place, off to one side. Super Don, help them out here. They were attacking us. They're attacking the doctors that appear on this show, and it's not working. It's backfiring, like we said.
Yes. Strategy and tactics are very important, and it's unfortunate for them, the skepducks, that they have employed this strategy and these tactics, which basically is being a troll, attacking, denigrating, harassing, trying to take them down, right?
Yeah.
And it turns out that in this scientific, listen, this guy is, he's a professor of physics at George Washington University.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a scientist, right? I mean, I think you probably consider that.
Sure, some kind.
They did the study, and what they found over time is that the more that the blue side attacks the red side, the stronger the red side gets.
Right.
Okay. So, at the end of this study.
Wait, let's go nerd real quick.
Okay, let's get nerdy.
Obi-Wan says, strike me down and I will become more powerful than you ever imagine.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they're going about it the wrong way. I mean, that's a good analogy.
They take down Janet Levitin. Like they're targeting her. They're trying to say, her license should be revoked because she's actually using homeopathy and homeoprophylaxis. Well, great. She becomes a martyr for the cause. I'm not saying great. I don't want her to lose her license or anything. But the point is they'll claim what we call a Pyrrhic victory. It's like nonsense because it only strengthens, like this official scientist has identified, you guys are doing it wrong. Not that we're worried that you're going to do it right because you can't help yourself.
Look at the data in this study. This shows over time that there have been spikes and there's been exponential growth within the anti-vaccination side. The more that the pro-vaccination side has tried to target them. Okay,
dude, there is such a great a line in here that people are going to freak out about because this is a prediction now. Under present conditions, one predictive model, not by that guy Ferguson because he can't get anything right, but one predictive model used by the scientists found that anti-vaccination support could reach dominance in approximately 10 years.
10 years.
Dude, if they roll out the military to provide us with vaccines we don't want, even, again, pro-vaccine people are going, I'm not taking the Gates vaccine on corona. They're going to accelerate that timeline within a year or two, honestly, if they keep it up. So carry on. So what else do we learn from this?
So at the end of the article here, the conclusion they come to, the implication is that instead of trying to convince red, which would be the anti-vaccination crowd, which is very hard, may backfire, to make them stronger, which has been happening, blue, the pro-vaccination side, should focus on intelligently engaging green, which would be the undecided crowd.
Right.
Okay?
But I don't think they're capable of doing that, do you?
Well, and here's the thing. People might be going, why are you saying this?
I know.
Why are you trying to tell them what they're doing wrong? Why are you trying to? Because the thing is they're not going to listen to this.
Yes, prove the point, right? We're not concerned.
They're not going to listen to this because let's throw some logic in here if we can. There are a lot of people out there, some people that like to watch this show, and you know who you are, that will say that they are protecting children and using that as a guise to go out and attack people, harass people, try and get their licenses taken away, make fun of them, call them names, troll them, call all their friends on Twitter that are also skeptics like them to go and gang up on people. And they say that they're doing that because they're trying to protect the children, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, they're going to be self-righteous in that.
Right.
They're going to attack people based on.
It's okay for me to do this because I'm protecting children.
Abuse of children, and of course, if you point out that the injury and death due to vaccination and those who would perpetrate the crime,
that's just no.
It's like you're not doing it for the children, right?
So here's the thing: if your goal is to try and protect the children and protect the health of the community and society, right? And if your way of doing that is causing the other side to get bigger and stronger, are you then not working against yourself? Are you not then, by your logic, causing more harm to children and more harm to society because you're causing the anti-vaccination crowd to get bigger and stronger, right?
Are you calling out the skeptics as if they're hypocrites?
Look, I'm saying. I mean, it's like if you're throwing water on a fire to try and put the fire out, and the more water you throw on it, the bigger the fire gets, then you might want to rethink about what it is you're doing. And in this case, if by going out and attacking the anti-vaccine crowd the way that you are is causing them to get bigger and stronger, then in essence, you are then, by your logic, causing more harm to children in society, are you not? So it seems to make sense that maybe you ought to rethink this and maybe consider this scientific study, this scientist and the data and the evidence that he's shown here, and stop doing the attacking of the other side. But here's the thing. They're not going to do that because they're not doing this for the children. They're doing this for themselves.
You're calling them out as narcissists.
I mean, I'm not a psychologist, so I can't diagnose anybody, but it falls into the category. It sounds very much like a narcissistic disorder. You know, you're not helping anybody but yourself. You're just, satisfying that need to stroke your own ego by doing what it is you're doing. So, I mean, I would just say, look, guys, look at the science. This is what you guys champion, science, right? Yeah. Here's the science showing that what you guys are doing is not working.
It's backfiring.
It's working against you.
Yeah.
So maybe you ought to consider a different route.
For those of you mad at me and Super D now for basically revealing the facts, the results of their attempts to attack and denigrate us and our friends, as to Super Don's point, they're not going to change because they are not.
If they don't. Doesn't this kind of really point out a hypocrisy that is evident here?
Well, for us, it's a moment of duh, but for them, it's a delusion. They have delusions of grandeur by attacking us or other, our friends. It's like as if your end result is backfiring on what your stated intention is, then you have no principles on which to stand. You're not pro-science, you're pro-cult. And your recruitment techniques are not working because it's causing people to leave the cult or never join it and join us where the non-vaccine waters are warm and non-toxic. And more of you are embracing the reality that your immune system is not corrupted or deficient by a lack of toxic injections, that you can't poison people to good health. Quite the opposite. That would seem to be a logical stance. But again, logic is failing those who would claim to use it. Again, the narcissists, the skeptics with that disorder. So Super Don, again, brilliant analysis. We've got it linked up in the show notes. And again, you could show them the article. They might even read the first paragraph and then they'll go, nope, not going to go there because this is about them and their egos.
What would they do with their time during the day? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Think about what they would do, Super Don, if they went into the green zone, right? That was described in that article and started doing their stuff. People that have no interest in all of this would go, who the hell are you? No. They would just annoy people like they annoy people. They would annoy people, whatever they do. I mean, so go wherever they go, they're going to fail. That's the inevitability of this. The only thing they have are police state tactics, fear, threats, violence, threats of violence. A government that has been basically captured by an industry led by multinational billionaire industrialists going back to Rockefeller, Carnegie, etc. And those are the people you're championing right now. A lot of folks are waking up and going, you know what? I don't want a Gates vaccine. Never question vaccines. It goes, whoa, 90% of them come from China. I got to rethink this thing. Y'all are losing, and it's not going to take 10 years for this to become the dominant viewpoint that we were lied to about the immune system. We were lied to about how to help the immune system. We were lied to about vaccines being helpful. Now, it's not just us. Of course, the problem is more and more so-called celebrities. I know there's a big celebrity worship out there. We don't worship them, but we'll acknowledge when they do good. This is a guy playing. What is the sport this guy plays? Because this is probably our friends at UK Health Radio would know this guy way better. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Sione Katoa? NRL player?
That's the National Rugby League.
Okay. So Ruggers.
Yes.
And the headline reads, claimed lives NRL player reveals why he's an anti-vaxxer. Centerbury hooker. I guess it's definitely out of South Africa or something because we don't use that term hooker in the same way. Sione Katoa has posted a passionate defense of his anti-vaxxer stance on Instagram. The former Panthers player took to social media on Sunday evening to respond to the furor around certain NRL players refusing to take flu jabs ahead of the season restart. And he says, why he was named as only one of roughly 20 of these players to have refused vaccination against flu. The 22-year-old posted a lengthy explanation. He says, I've had a few people contact me asking me why I declined the flu shot and wanted to share my reasons behind it, particularly now with one of our closest mates, Bryce Cartwright, and teammate Brian being stood down. Oh, this is Tongan International wrote. Lately, I've seen journalists, reporters, and mainstream media creating a divide between the community, the fans, and the NRL by constantly shaming and bullying NRL players and their families who stand for freedom of choice. We acknowledge that the flu shot has the ability to result in some serious adverse reactions and has also claimed lives. Okay? And it goes on from there. This is worthwhile looking at this, reading this, and sharing this. In 2018, the stepfather of a friend sadly passed away within 48 hours of the flu shot. He was an adult man with no underlying health conditions. What if this were to happen to our family or yours? Why are people so quick to advocate for herd immunity and not acknowledge vaccine injury death? See, this is the problem skeptics have because reasonable people ask this question. It goes on. There are plenty of families within NRL alone that suffer from vaccine injury. We used to be very pro-vax and judge those who chose not to vaccinate. Those judgments quickly passed as soon as vaccines caused health issues for our eldest son, Chase. He was constantly sick after shots, resulting in many trips to the hospital and doctor's office. Our son was helpless and never getting any better, so we reached out for a second opinion, which led us down the path of, oh my gosh, skeptic heads explode, holistic health. After seeking advice from medical professionals and seeing the positive impact that it had on our son's health, we made the informed decision to no longer vaccinate ourselves or our children. And that is what is happening, folks. This is why it cannot be stopped. And the more they attack us, the more they attack people like this athlete, the more it will backfire. And again, we could say that, Super Don, and I am confident as you are, it's not going to change their behavior because that's all they got. This is not about the big
Let's remember that there was a time when people who are either, however you want to describe it, anti-vaccine, vaccine hesitant, whatever, there was a time where this topic was not even talked about. I mean, it just, very rarely, could you find this even being talked about anywhere in the news or any of that stuff. It was basically a group of people, moms and parents, stuff like that, just wanted to be left alone.
Sure.
Let me make decisions for myself, for my family, for my kids.
You guys can do what you want to do.
You do what you want to do. Just let me do my own thing, and please just leave me alone. And it wasn't until they decided to make it a thing and started going after them that this thing blew up in their face. And it's not going to go away. I've said this 1,000 times. Whoever came up with the idea of attacking autism moms is an absolute moron. I mean, that's just
true.
Hello, why don't you just hit yourself in the face? I mean, it just does not make any sense. And they've bitten off more than they can chew at this point. And fortunately, we have guys like this professor that's kind of looking at it going, oh, maybe we ought to try something different.
And
will they listen?
They're not going to listen. No, I don't think they will. Anyway, Super Don, great job opening the show with me. Thank you, my friend. Y'all share the show. Thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. Host some watch parties right now. And let people know the place for health, freedom, and healing liberty 2 hours a day, 6 days a week, right here at robertscottbell.com. We're going to say thanks to one of our great supportive friends and sponsors out there, Trinity School of Natural Health. We want to see everybody at the Trinity. It's the Health Freedom Expo toward the end of October of this year in Chicago. We're all going to be going. I want to see you there. And my guest next segment came with his kids many years ago to Chicago to see us at the Health Freedom Expo. Marlon Glenn, hashtag bring back Marlon from Motor City Health, joins us after this break. Say thanks to Trinity School of Natural Health. We'll be right back.
It seems like every fitness program today offers you a lot of promises. You've seen the marketing, the fad diets, the secret pill, the magic programs, lose 100 pounds in 3 months. Unfortunately, most of those trends do very little to actually support your body or your health, and some of them are even harmful to your body. At Trinity, we look at fitness in a much more realistic and honest approach. Our Holistic Fitness Specialist program emphasizes a full body strategy for the fitness professional. We focus on whole body nutrition, proper exercise selection for the individual, and supplementation that is actually beneficial to the body and not toxic. In this course, you will learn the physiological benefits of exercise, breath work, and mindfulness, dysbiosis and the connection to weight gain, performance, and recovery, exercise selection, intensity, and frequency, condition-specific exercise recommendations, fitness-based nutrition and supplementation for performance and recovery, popular diet plans including the ketogenic diet and their applications, emotional components of health, and natural performance-enhancing strategies. Fitness is more than just muscle strength and endurance. It's about improving the fitness of the physical body as well as the intellectual and emotional health, your whole self, body, mind, and spirit. If you have any questions or feel like this is the right program for you, please email or call us today and get started on your journey towards transforming the world.
TrinitySchool.org. Check it out, y'all. All the links are in the show notes at robertscottbell.com. Now, joining us from the Motor City, he's not the Motor City Madman, he's the Motor City Health Man. Marlon Glenn is back. Hashtag at work. You're back, Marlon. How are you, my brother?
Doing great, Robert. How are you, sir?
All right. Have I said anything to offend you today?
Robert, we just got started.
I'm getting ahead of myself. Well, wait, let me say it this way, Marlon. Have I ever said anything that offended you?
Well, you know what? Let me say it like this. You have never offended me, but other people who don't know you probably were offended by it. I'm okay with it.
Listen, I love you and your family. I got to speak to your wife and kids earlier while we were testing it, and it's so, the smiles just automatically come over me when I think of you guys and the fact that you're back on the show. Motor City Health, and we've got it linked up in the show notes at robertscottbell.com. A Trinity graduate, Trinity student here. Marlon doing great work in his community. Now, have any of your neighbors yet turned you into the authorities for not being afraid of coronavirus?
The exact opposite. Let me tell you this. I've got to tell you this. I met a lady. Her name is Audrey. She is a Trinity graduate circa 2015. So we're just talking or whatever. Then she says, well, I happen to say that I know Robert Scott Bell. I don't think you realize how popular you are. I told her, oh, yeah, you know Robert Scott Bell. I know Robert Scott Bell. I know Ty Bolger. She lost her mind, Robert. Lost her mind. So just being associated with you is just I guess that's the place to be. So I'm just going to be riding your coattails.
Dude, listen, I'm nervous because I keep thinking the other side of the coin, but apparently people are connecting or reconnecting to what we feel is so important. Kinship, friendship, family, support of one another, affection, shaking hands, hugging. I mean, you're telling me that nobody's turning you in because you're just a nice guy, affectionate, and you're not afraid. I just want to be sure in Detroit.
Well, you have pockets. I don't know if you know that yesterday there was another protest up in Lansing, which is the third one since the Queen had us on lockdown.
The Queen.
You are seeing a shift in the mindset of people. Of course, you're always going to have that remnant that's afraid. That's not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. But the longer this goes on, I truly believe they've overplayed their hand. So people are saying, you know what, this new normal, as they like to call it, is not something that anybody wants. I've heard you say in the past that, it's a satanic, Luciferian type concept. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. That's basically saying sever ourselves from what makes us who we are, no longer be human, no longer love. And people think that life isn't just breathing and existence. There's a quality of life that must exist as well. And people are going to rebel against that. They just are.
What about the police officers, the authorities themselves, trying to enforce social distancing? Do you see any of that interaction? Do you have any friends that are cops in the area that you've talked to about some of these issues?
As I said, we live in Taylor. So Taylor is kind of a small city right outside of Detroit. But we haven't seen any police officers bothering anybody. In fact, here it's kind of laid back and pretty friendly. In my area, you don't really see it. Now, in some areas like in Detroit, you may see it, but even there it's limited, Robert, because when you think about it, their ability to rule us is contingent upon our ability to obey. If we obey everything they say, then of course they have that power. But you have a lot of police officers, sheriff officers who are saying we're not going to enforce these nonsensical anti-constitutional rules. We're just not.
So have you been able to get a haircut? Not that anybody can tell if you have hair or not because you're cut off at the top.
There it is. I knew it was coming. There it is.
But I'm asking about local businesses. Like, are they opening? Are they having to defy orders of what's going on in Michigan specifically?
We have had to have people who have defied things. I don't know if you heard about the barber in Owasso, Michigan. It's been a big story where he had to. Oh, he's 77 years old. He opened up his shop. They sent the troops in to close him down. He opened anyway. Then they took away his business license. So it's just been a lot of back and forth. You can see the tyranny and how petty it is. Here's a man who's 77 years old who just wants to cut hair, Robert. That's all he wants to do is cut hair. And it's this big pushing back and forth with the governor. So it shows it has nothing to do with our safety or our health. It's about, hey, how much raw power can I exist?
By the way, can you raise the camera so we can see that beautiful head of hair? There it is. Okay. So look, I'm just jealous because if I were bald like that, people would be frightened. Small children would run away. You're a good-looking guy, and your wife says so. I agree with her. So, all right, you can bring it back down now. I just wanted everybody to see what I was talking about. I think that's perfect. So, all right. So, again, your town, you're a smaller town outside of Detroit. I know you're near DFW. I've stayed with the family and everything. A little bit more questions since last time you were on, the hashtag trending, bring back Marlon. Your ability to help folks through Motor City Health. Let me go to the website right now, robertscottbell.com. You could see in the show notes, you'll see a picture of me and Marlon. Motor City Health, there's a direct link to get there. Are people reaching out to you locally and or even from a distance to say, hey, Marlon, what do you got nutritionally? What do you got perspectives that can help me and my family be better, be well, be healthy?
Definitely locally, Robert. I think, and you all have hit on it, that the paradigm is shifted. I think that people are starting to finally see how empty and how hollow the whole allopathic paradigm is. Like as you said in the past, they're good for taping people back together. You get in a car accident, okay, we got you. You need to be glued back together. Understood. But as far as dealing with chronic issues, be it diabetes, high blood pressure, whatever, people are opening their minds to what's going on. And I think what has happened with the whole COVID-19 thing, it has shocked their system. And it opened them to see things and reach out to health practitioners such as myself, where they never would have thought to have done that before.
Well, what about the targeting you hear in the mainstream news about so-called COVID-19 attacking? How would I say it? Because I claim myself to be pigmentally challenged. Those of you that have more pigment than me, it's not fair. You can be out in the sun longer. It's just not fair, right? But that idea of targeting a community, what are they doing when they're relating this? Are they doing it so you can encourage better health? I know you can, but from a mainstream media perspective, are they going to say, you know what, this community, we really need to target for these non-existent vaccines that we're going to roll out in December or whenever they claim so?
Well, what's very disappointing, I would say, about the entire situation is when it comes to the Black community, we are always treated as, I don't know if less than is the right way to put it, but they treat us as though we are eternally victims. Maybe that's the best way to put it. So the whole concept of why Blacks are more susceptible to the COVID-19 is because we just don't know what we're doing. It's systemic racism. I've even had some of the churches say that the reason we suffer from COVID-19 is systemic racism. Now, I'm trying to wrap my mind around how being a racist makes you more susceptible to getting a vaccination or being sick.
Wait. You're telling me that they're saying the Black community is racist, so they're more vulnerable?
No. They said because the system, they never define what system they're talking about.
Yeah.
Who knows what the system, they say the system
is racist. So that's the reason why we're suffering more. Now, granted, there's true institutional racism that exists, although most people that use the word racism, my perception is they don't even know the definition of the word, right? But the idea that a virus knows what the color of your skin or genetic lineage is absurd. And what would we say about what are the health risks, health factors? What are the behaviors that we're engaging in? Black, white, yellow, red, doesn't matter.
Exactly. And I had I know Super Don has talked about censorship. Mm-hmm. So I posted something on my Motor City Health Facebook page about Black people, and specifically as with COVID-19. I spoke about nutrition. I spoke about the lack of vitamin D, how it's a little bit more difficult for us to get the amount of vitamin D that we need to be healthy. It was basically an article, Robert, that just talked about, look, this is what we need to do as a community to be healthy, to offset some of the challenges that we're facing. Mm-hmm. It was deleted from Facebook. They took it down. And I'm trying to understand, well, what's the problem with saying that we need to eat better, that we need to drink more water, get better sleep, supplement appropriate, selenium, so forth. That
Dude,
post, Robert, is
that's
demeaning.
total racism, Marlon. How dare you?
Exactly. I'm trying to understand. I guess there's somebody out there who doesn't want us, be it the black people, they just don't want us to be healthy. It's part of the program.
Yeah, and there are, like I said, there are people that are real, let me say it politely, asshats, and perceive things superficially in that way, and don't like people just because they don't like people. Now,
Absolutely.
our goal and role is to empower people to get well, as is, I know yours is. When they come to you, ask you questions, it doesn't matter, again, pigment aside, it's just, hey, what do you need to do to be healthy, right? But Super Don, one of our friends, you talk about censorship, is it what Dr. Brownstein that was recently, what, the FTC shut his website down or something? What? His blog?
Yes, the FTC basically accused him of doing what they accuse everybody of in his blog. He was talking about cures and things for COVID-19. Now, basically, all he was doing was talking about what he, as a doctor,
he's a medical doctor, yes,
was doing in his clinic and the results he was getting from his patients. And apparently, if that doesn't toe the line with the official story, with the news out there, the FTC will come in and shut you down.
Right. Well, so
he's not able basically to have any real internet presence now.
So he's another medical doctor, physician who's treating patients, who's talking about clinically, this is my experience. I'm doing this, which is not drugs. These are dietary supplements or different things. Some are doing ozone therapy, right, and they're succeeding. And the fact that they say that is now grounds for banning them from outreach of any kind or threat against their license.
So what does that say about the whole paradigm that they're putting forth, Robert? When you can't defend your argument on its merits, what's left? What is left for you to do? And I think a lot of people, this is, you've mentioned in the past, Robert, this is ultimately a spiritual battle. If you're looking at a medical situation that's based on pure atheist, reductionist, bottom line is we have no spiritual connection at all. You are a piece of human machinery. That's what you are. Versus the mindset that we have, that the body is a whole system. It's a spiritual component. It can be healed holistically. It has mechanisms to heal itself. Those two positions are completely antagonistic. That's why you see that constant bumping of the heads, because there's no reconciliation. It's either one or it's the other. They can't come together at all.
Marlon, I'm going to step in it right now. This is not the first time I'm saying this, but allopathic medicine is the medicine of the devil.
I agree with you, right?
Okay?
Absolutely.
Now, having said that, I'm going to say God created the devil or whatever you perceive it to be. So it isn't that, I think Super Don just ran away as I said that, but am I getting that right? He's like, oh no, Robert, don't go there. I see him. I see you. Everybody else sees you now too.
He's back now. He's back.
Yeah, he's back. So what I'm saying is that it doesn't mean that it's demonic on its face, because there's a role. God created all good, evil, all of that. All right. From a creation perspective. So it has its place, but outside of the place that it's designed to be, then it becomes, again, very dangerous, because if you go into a hospital after being hit by a car, they do good work in putting you back together, trying to save your life in this physical body. But applying those same techniques to what we see as chronic diseases of a wrong lifestyle, eating improperly, not exercising, that's where it becomes the manifestation of a Luciferian agenda to attack us and distance us from our humanity or our spiritual roots in terms of love, affection, support, worship, celebration, all the things that make us human. Now they're trying to argue against that for our own benefit or our own good. That is obviously not of God. That's in my opinion.
And Robert, you say that's in your opinion, but I got to support you on that, because I really believe that the only way we will win this battle is to take it from the vantage point of what you just said. We can throw as many facts as we want to. We can throw as many data points. They can fight with data. They can go back and forth. But if you come at it for what it is, it's a spiritual battle of the forces of darkness versus the forces of good. That's what it is. So we have to call it for what it is, because they are going to
makes my heart happy hearing you say that, the way you say it. You're bringing it, as you always do, Marlon.
They're not going to stop, Robert. They are not going to stop. So we can't, as they said in that movie, Untouchable, you don't bring a knife to a gunfight. This is a gunfight. So we've got to make sure that we're meeting them where they are. It's a spiritual battle.
Right. And our bullets we're not necessarily arguing for lead. We're arguing for spirituality.
Absolutely.
However people define it, everybody's got their own views on that. But that we meet it there with the love, the divinity that comes with us originally, that is frightened out of us by the materialistic, molecular reductionist, etc. Now, here's another example of allopathic medicine doing not God's work. I know I'm getting into controversial territory, but Marlon, I feel good doing it with you. What's that? Say it again.
Take it there. Go
for it. I'll take it there. All right. So check out this article. I'm going to bring it up in the screen. This is from MSN.com. I'm sure it's just a mainstream article, but it says a fever of 100.4 in Ohio. It's 99.5 in Minnesota. And every state's going to be different. Companies are writing their own rules for temperature screening in a pandemic. So if your temperature is not 98.6, if it's a hair above it, depending on what state you're in, they say you're a danger. We have to quarantine you, send you home, or you're going to have to get vaccinated or drugged. Mm-hmm. Now, why do I bring up, again, the spirituality principled discussion here? Because if you have an immune system and if you believe you are a creation of God, not government or medicine, and you suppress something that has intelligence, right, an elevated fever to help you overcome something, or even, hey, man, I was just out running a marathon with Marlon. My temperature's up, right? You're going to be sweating. Mm-hmm. Then suddenly they say that's bad, that's wrong, you should be ashamed, you should go home, we need to suppress it, you need to take a drug, rather than realize the body's response to all kinds of things, that your temperature can fluctuate even without an infection in the day, based on endocrine interaction and other things. Have you just eaten? There's so many factors here, and they're utilizing body temperature as a litmus to say, you now have to isolate. You now have to remove yourself from humanity. That's where I say allopathic medicine, even applying itself in acute infection, is wrong in the way they go about things.
Absolutely. Now, Robert, let me ask you this. When you mention it's a spiritual battle, I know you think we're stepping in it, but we're keeping it real. This is what we have to do. Ask yourself, why are the powers that be in this battle so bent on keeping the churches closed? They don't say a word to Costco. Mm-hmm. They don't say a word to Home Depot. Nothing. But if a church meets, it's like the biggest deal in the world. They have to be closed. That tells us that there's a spiritual battle here. Why would they care? It's not a big deal, but they lose it. Handcuffs, security guards going crazy because they understand. We don't get it, but they understand. This is a spiritual battle.
Super Don. Look, if we went to worship on Sundays at Costco or Saturdays on Costco, would they shut Costco down?
I was just going to say, I saw a meme this morning that said that the churches should just meet at Walmart.
Right? That's where you're allowed to gather there, right? Oh my gosh! Now we're not acknowledging the danger that they claim because we exist and interact with one another. If this were the case, there is no explanation for how any of us are alive today. Right?
Exactly.
Throughout history, people interact, whatever. Now suddenly, but this time it's different. We now have to isolate, cover our faces, never breathe, never shake hands, never hug. Mm-hmm. I mean, just anybody with any lick of common sense left, sense that God may have given, would go, this is just, it's moronic.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. Moronic. I like when Super Don used the word moron at this point because that's appropriate. Politically incorrect or not, I don't care. Morons. Bunch of morons. All right, so we got that story. Oh, here's a good news story. Check it out. Now, because of the so-called slowdown, a.k.a. shutdown, whatever it is in your state, most schools around the nation have closed and are doing distance learning. Check out this article from Breitbart. It says a poll, according to the poll, and this isn't like the CNN poll of themselves to say, do you like us? Do you trust us? Oh, yeah. No, this is a poll that was done, and it said 40% of families are now more likely to homeschool even after the so-called pandemic ends. And I'm like, oh, this could be trouble because when you homeschool your kids, you're not subjecting them to the propaganda of the glory of government, pharma, etc. You actually have the ability to instill your values into your kids and not have to deprogram them from the cult of government indoctrination.
Well, that may be the next avenue they take, Robert, is to eliminate homeschooling because of the freedom to learn what you want to learn. You're 100% right. If they can't control the curriculum, how do they control the thought process? How do you do it?
Well, and it's a dilemma because on one hand, some of them are arguing like Fauci saying, we shouldn't open the schools in the fall. It's like, well, let's say the pandemic is over. Don't open them anyway. I mean, because you're going to actually have a smarter group of kids growing into adulthood because on average, I think it's been proven, Homeschoolers are much more able to think critically than their public school counterparts.
And they would stop that, because there would be a battle against that. We can't have people thinking independently like that. That becomes a problem.
Yeah, that is fascinating. Now, I know it's a struggle for a lot of folks. They've tried to create these technology-based interactions.
Right.
But the downside, of course, the interactivity via technology is that we rely on it more and more. Then the phones become de facto tracking agents for the trace.
Yes.
Did you see that HR 6666?
Don't you love that number, Robert? You gotta love that. You gotta love it right in your face.
They're not even hiding. They're not even hiding it. And so they laugh and they think, oh, well, people aren't going to stop using it. I'm thinking the time that we've gotten to spend with the family, the playtime I've had with the kids back in the backyard and the basketball court, doing the gardening and everything, it's been a refreshing reminder of what it was like, Marlon, when we were kids without the technology, the stuff we would do. It's like, oh, yeah, we can do just fine without it. Maybe better.
Mm-hmm. And they create this world. I think that what they're doing is they're creating this false reality. Even with my job, we have these different Zoom meetings and the Google Meet and all this. And I don't care what you say, Robert. We're talking back and forth, obviously using technology. This obviously that's what we're doing. But when we meet in Chicago and we see each other, there's a transference of energy that we have when we're together that you just can't get via this type of media. It's impossible. You cannot tell me that the love that's shown when people are in person, when we see each other and we exchange those hugs, that energy can't compare to what you're doing via an electronic media.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So does that mean, Marlon, that we're likely to see you, at least you, I'm hoping for the whole family, you know me, at the Health Freedom Expo in October in Chicago?
Absolutely, Robert. Absolutely. And I promise you this, I will not be social distancing. I promise you that.
you know it. If we're together, there ain't no social distancing, man.
No,
we're going to have a great time. So if the whole family can come, maybe, I don't know, but I'm just saying, planting the seed to see the Glenn family, and everybody will want to come see you now. Now, if you were on the fence about going to the Health Freedom Expo, Marlon and family might be there. Marlon will be there. You want to go.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Robert, I don't know if you know, but there's a court case from our legislature against the governor. So the hearing started today. It's more than likely they'll lose that one, but this case is going to end up going to the Supreme Court. So hopefully we'll get that same outcome in Michigan that they got in Wisconsin, where they overruled the governor and just basically eliminated his executive orders.
Wow.
So we're hoping for that.
Yeah, we've seen more and more court cases. If they're challenged, the courts would be hard-pressed to side on the abolition of the First Amendment altogether, even though we've seen the penchant for the legislature and the presidents before, and maybe even this one, to violate elements of our own Constitution, whether it be the Bill of Rights or otherwise, to promote this agenda. But when challenged, they're hard-pressed to rule in favor of abolition of the rights not given to us, but secured by or written into our Declaration of Independence and Constitution. So these are some really serious issues that we're dealing with, and that's why I'm very excited. Next hour we've got, I don't know if you saw hashtag Megaphone Marine, Dr. Cordie Lee Williams.
I heard the show that you had with him. He was amazing. I saw him on his YouTube. Yeah. Outstanding. And he went the right way. He didn't engage to fight, argue, or he just told them. And that's how we win this battle, Robert. It's not through fists. It's not through guns. It's not through violence. It has to be through just being truth and being honest. Because if you can see, they can't handle the truth. They can't handle honesty. They have to attack us and censor us because they know they have no leg to stand on. They don't.
Yeah, exactly. And to speak to the heart, to reach deep in with the spirit, to reach people where they actually at some level exist, even though they've disavowed the people that are attacking freedom, attacking us, or the so-called skeptics we kind of made fun of. We gave them the pathway to not succeed. They won't win anyway, but we're letting them know that all of their attempts at censorship are backfiring. They're only causing more people to come on over.
Are.
Yeah,
that's the irony of they're pushing more people to us. They're coming this way because they know, well, what are you hiding? What's the problem?
Yeah. Well, Marlon, again, Motor City Health, how can people contact you if they want to consult either locally or via Skype or whatever to get a better leg up on how to be well and stay well?
They just visit my website, motorcityhealth.net. All the information's there, contact page, phone number, emails, all available for them. More than willing to step out and help anybody that wants to learn more about health. Shout out to Trinity Health.
Yep, motorcityhealth.net. Coming through Trinity, our friends at trinityschool.org. Love to Julie Whitman-Klein and the family there, and we can't wait for the Health Freedom Expo in Chicago in October. But in the meantime, we're going to keep pushing health freedom and the deep level principles that initiated our desire for the freedom to choose our path in life, our health path in life, and to also respect and honor those, even if we disagree with them, in their path. And that's a major difference in terms of how spirit works. We have been granted the freedom of choice by our Creator, and we would not deny that to anybody as long as they don't use those choices to violate our freedom to choose a different path.
And I just want to say before we go, I just want to give a shout out to your audience. They are absolutely amazing, because every time you tell me they say #bring back Marlon, I just laugh, because I'm like, are you serious? Who even wants to listen to me? I just crack up laughing with that, but they are the best audience ever. Your show is amazing, and you're super down. You just can keep doing the great work that you're doing. Keep the faith.
Look, I asked your wife earlier when you weren't on screen. I said, is Marlon getting a big head? Is he too big for his britches? And she said, oh yeah, that was years ago though.
Oh, Robert, don't listen to that. That's nonsense. Don't listen to that. That is so not true.
Oh my God! And it was good. Hey, are any of your kids in earshot that we can get them on screen for a moment if they want to join you, just for real quick? I mean, we got a couple of minutes. Okay, all right. We're gonna bring them in because his kids are amazing. Super Don, we're talking the family of families. Are they too afraid to come on the air?
Oh, here comes Aretha. I was able to find one.
Who's coming on? It's
Aretha, just Aretha.
Hey, Aretha, how are you? Good to see you. I can't. What are you wearing? A pink hood? Or is your head cold, or you just not want to show all the hair to make your dad look bad?
Second out. She's trying to get her hair done, so she just that's what that is, Robert. That's what that is.
Okay. Well, your kids know that I wanted them all on the show, and your wife said she wasn't ready. So, but I thank you, Marlon. You are a true brother and friend and family member here on the Robert Scott Bell Show to us and to Super Don. And, I know that your kids loved Liam Sheff as well, when he was around.
Absolutely amazing guy.
Yeah, and some of the biggest smiles I ever saw on Liam Sheff's face was when your family came around and your kids came around to see us. So,
they love him. You guys, I'm telling you, guys were actual rock stars. My kids loved Robert Scott Bell and Liam Sheff. And Michaela loved Super Don.
The past tense, though, what happened? She fell out of love?
You saw she just always was talking about Super Don, Super Don, Super Don.
I know, and who wouldn't, by the way?
I don't even know what to say about that.
He's blushing. You got him blushing, Marlon. Way to go, buddy. All right.
It's still the weirdest thing when people say stuff like that, because Robert and I, we've been doing this for 15 years now together. Mm-hmm. We just get on here and we do our thing and stuff like that. And it's just the weirdest thing when somebody completely out of the blues is like, "Are you Super Don?" Yeah. I'm just like,
well, I continue to tell you guys, you don't realize the effect that you have on people. Sometimes we don't think we're making a difference, but when you and Robert go back and forth and you're so true and so genuine that people resonate with that, because we look for somebody to be truthful and genuine, because there's so much perception. They gravitate to that. They want to be told the truth.
Super Don's making the ladies' hearts go aflutter.
Well, if he's the man, he's the man. It just is what it is.
All right. Well, we got more of this coming up in hour 2. 1776 Forever Free. There's a Liberty Fest coming up in California. There'll be other protests and rallies and demonstrations coming up, and it's all linked up in the show notes as we bring #Megaphone Marine, that is Cordie Lee Williams, back on the program for an update. And again, links are up in the show notes to all of those that support us and our message of health, freedom, and healing liberty. And Marlon, Glenn, and family, you guys are loved, even when you're not here. And I know I'm going to get even more #Bring Marlon back again. I'm going to have to deal with it. I'm just going to have to deal with it.
Whenever you need my friend, I'm there for you, always.
You got it. We got a Patreon supporter group, and we got an Ask Me Anything coming up this Monday. Super Don and I will let you know more about that a little later. Marlon, can you take us out? You know what to say at the end of each hour.
Oh, come on, Robert. We all know that the power to heal is yours.
The Robert Scott Bell Show. The Robert Scott Bell Show.
Have you ever watched a movie with superheroes and villains? If so, you already understand the science of drinking hydrogen-enriched water and how to unlock true health. Allow me to explain. In our bodies, we have a natural struggle between superheroes and villains, with molecular hydrogen being the superhero and oxidative stress the villain. So how does knowing that give you the tools to unlock true health? Your body is naturally designed to fight oxidative stress through specific bacteria in the gut that creates hydrogen on their own. Pretty awesome, right? So why does this matter? Well, in most people, the hydrogen-creating bacteria is gone, and cancer and disease soon follow. So the real question is, why aren't we trying to fix this every day? Well, the answer is simple. It's hard. Even the most healthy of individuals who biohack take months or years to achieve this balance. But how do we get there without taking months or even years? After years of study and development, we discovered and designed the perfect technology that made it all possible. We call this technology Echo H2 Water. Within minutes of drinking hydrogen-rich water from our Echo Hydrogen water machines, you are back in control, balanced, and feeling amazingly hydrated and healthy. Having your own Echo Hydrogen water machine is kinda like having your own team of superheroes on call, always available to fight the villains in your body. Pretty cool, right? But don't just take our word for it. Get your Echo H2 water machine today and quickly bring your body into balance with hydrogen.
The Robert Scott Bell Show.
I listen to get accurate, up-to-date information.
I've learned so much from him.
It is awesome. It's the best entertainment that I've found.
You rock the health world. Keep it up. I love you.
Now, the voice of health, freedom, and liberty, here's Robert Scott Bell.
All right, y'all, the weekend's almost here. You know you got to go through the Robert Scott Bell Show to get there, or it's just not the weekend. Welcome back, my friend. Super Don, making it sound so good and making the women's hearts go all aflutter. What are you doing?
Jeez, enough.
It's never enough, Super Don. Never, never. Anyway, great hour with Marlon again, and just like I said, these are the unsung heroes that I like to sing their praises. You know that. To bring them on to show, you know what the media portrays is, typical America, wherever it is, they're not portraying people that necessarily love liberty and understand, what we're up against, but at the same time not being intimidated or fearful of it. And it was like Dr. Tom Cowan on Monday, the greatest ending to any show when he talked about the Sleeping Beauty story. In a beautiful way. Once you dissolve the fear, it dissolved all the thorns and the illusion that got people trapped and running for, away from their humanity and divinity.
Yeah, that was great. That's one of the more popular interviews we've done. in a long time. He had a heck of a message and some interesting stuff that we don't normally get to cover on this show. I'm looking forward to having him on again.
Yeah, and all the more remarkable that he was trained allopathically in the physician world and never succumbed to the illusion and the propaganda and the programming. Most of them do, and then some of them recover. It's not easy. It's like you're a recovering medical doctor, right? And I've said it. That training is a handicap, and of course that's why doctors park in the handicap spots, because they're mentally handicapped because of their training. and so some of them some of them come out of it. Some of them do, yeah. And that's why we have medical doctors on the show, right? Because I think they're all bad. No, but we do have a doctor of chiropractic, and he was a Marine. I guess once a Marine, always a Marine. I don't know how it goes, Cordie Lee Williams, doctor. How do we say it? Former ex-Marine, or are you always a Marine?
You're always a Marine, Robert Scott Bell, and thank you so much for having me on. And Super Don, love you, brother. You're always a Marine. It never goes away. It's Semper Fi. They say do or die. So it's always there. Absolutely.
Okay. I thought so. I just didn't know, you're an ex, whatever. This is an ex-parrot. No, I mean, that's a Monty Python thing. No. And you're always a doctor of chiropractic. And, you have done remarkable work, I know, in that field. And again, for those of you who don't know, Dr. Cordie Lee Williams, hashtag Megaphone Marine, we had him on after that Sunday after, I think it was, or Monday after, he was speaking at the Capitol in Sacramento, California. And through the megaphone, the lineup of these very intimidatingly dressed like stormtroopers in black, I think CHP, whatever, guarding the Capitol. And he spoke to their heart, and it certainly made an impact and impression on me. Perhaps it did them. I don't know what follow-up since that event happened in terms of interactivity with authorities, government, or otherwise, but I know that you've done loads of media interviews, which I'm grateful for since then.
Well, a lot of that started because of you and Dr. Billy DeMoss, and so I'm so grateful for you guys, and really, honestly, the movement, because what I feel like God really showed me out of this is take this platform and take this moment in time that inspired people, and how can we move and really move the needle forward to make something happen for humanity? Because I was doing an interview this morning. It's like New York and California are the head and neck of this whole thing. And I feel like to get Goliath to go down, we got to take out those two parts of the beast, so to speak. But there's actually been a lot that's gone on the last 2 weeks or so. We went back up probably a week. I think it was like 3 days after I was on your show, 4 days. We went back to the Capitol. I flew back up there, and we tried to give an olive branch to the police officers. And we literally, guys, we prayed over them. We did a communion. And, again, it was just Americans, all spiritual affiliations, no singular affiliation. And they probably had 300 of them out there. They had the visors on. They didn't have the full Starship Troopers, outfits.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Stormship Troopers, Star Trek, whatever, right? And they wouldn't take it. They didn't break their line. They didn't come over. We literally called out, prayed out, all that stuff. They would not come over and take the tree. So that's definitely gone on. Since then, there's been just a big push. I kind of brought together like 8 different organizations, the Freedom Angels. I got Dr. DeMoss on board, guy named Chris Lippy, Lee Dundas, lady named Stephanie, Pastor Tim Thompson, just brought like 8 different organizations together. And I said, how can we facilitate these small rallies are great, but what can we do to really move the needle? And we all decided that going back to the Capitol with a different approach and a different message would be the best way to really move that needle forward.
Well, we have this linked up in the show notes today. You see in our second hour, Cordie Lee Williams is with us. And we actually have the video linked if you didn't see it. I can't imagine you didn't, but of the interaction that happened over a week ago now. Also, we have links to the 1776 Forever Free and the Liberty Fest, which is what I really want to talk to you about for those that are going to be out west. If I wasn't already going to Charlotte, North Carolina for the Advanced Medicine Conference with Dr. Batari, I'd be there with you. But we'll do our level best to cover it. But this apparently is going to be happening Saturday, May 23rd in Sacramento, high noon. Be part of the biggest rally in the nation and unite with your fellow patriots to celebrate freedom at our state's capital. And, you know, the risk is, I don't mean to go into risk right away, but you've talked about going in with a non-denominational, everybody, you know, the Spirit's flowing, praying. These cops have the freedom to reject it. It's kind of like when the plagues were sent to Egypt and Pharaoh's heart hardened until a certain point. And the freedom is always given. And we have to, even if we don't like it, what they're doing, not visit violence upon them unless it's in defense of our own life, liberty, or property. And that is a legitimate issue. So I'm not shying away from that potential, but recognizing all the things that you're doing, Cordie, and bringing the people together is to attempt to do this in a peaceful, nonviolent, and loving way.
Yeah. And you know, what we've got planned for this one, it's going to be a little bit different. You know, we recognize, because, I mean, when we came back to bring them the olive tree, they had barricades up, zip ties, like literally all the way around the Capitol. And the Capitol is huge. So we kind of said, well, how about we just go right in front of Capitol Mall? So we're probably right where the barricade's off. We're on the other side of the road. We want to fill that whole area up. And Dr. DeMoss and I were shooting for 1 million people. Whatever God sends us, great. But we've got country music artist Kofi Anderson. He's going to be playing either acoustic or with his band. He's going to be there. We've got Buzz Patterson, who's running for the 7th district. He's going to be one of our speakers. You know, guy's written 3 books, used to carry the nuclear football for President Clinton, and several other speakers and people. And we just want to have like a big barbecue out there. We're just going to have a big party right in his backyard. That's kind of our goal there.
Excellent. Now I've got it's linked up, and libertyfestca.com is the link. You can help, you can donate, you can attend. There's transportation links and hotel links as well. And it gives you all the information you need thus far. But I know there's a lot to put on an event like this. So I guess the request to my audience, those who are in California or who want to be there for this, I see that there's a sign up, register to attend and receive updates. Is there a specific way that they can volunteer to help you out?
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you so much, Robert. Yeah, I mean, if you want to reach out to 1776 Forever Free, you can message us. My assistant, Hannah, I've got 2 people that monitor all the PR stuff. They can definitely help you out. You can reach out to us there. You can reach out to us through that website that was created by my good friend, Vivian. All right. And she's of the Live Free movement. They're also heavily involved in this, and a big authority and one of the organizations that's leading this. Buy a t-shirt. You know, you can buy a t-shirt, you can donate, wear the t-shirt, show up. We got people flying in from all over the United States. Billy DeMoss has really gotten a lot of chiropractors and holistic doctors involved. However you can help out. If you have a specific, you know, expertise that you offer, you know, we need people to hand out t-shirts, you know, food, drinks, concessions, things like that. All that stuff would be welcomed. Pretty much anything and everything that you want to contribute, we probably need or can find a need for it for sure.
All right. Now, this is where I want to turn directly to our doctors of chiropractic in the Robert Scott Bell Show audience and beyond. And if you have a chiropractor, maybe you aren't one, but you go to one, that you need to relate this information, not just specifically to the California event, but maybe there are a lot of chiropractors in California. But the doctors of chiropractic and their patients or clients, whatever they call them, have a tremendous power. There's a lot of you out there. You know who you are. And to mobilize that group, it would be overwhelming to the bad guys, those that are molecular reductionists that want to, you know, keep us in a state of medical or pharmaceutical imprisonment, who want to threaten us or actually force us to receive toxic injections against our will. Those that would violate vital force or spiritual realities. I believe, and maybe I don't think I'm exaggerating, the power that the chiropractic community could have if they aligned on this issue.
Yeah, I mean, there's over, I've heard estimates of worldwide, there's 74,000 chiropractors. So, you know, some of my friends, Robert, that, you know, and this has really been a thorn in Billy and I's side, you know, because, you know, some guys are like, well, I'm worried about my license. I'm worried about my practice. And I'm kind of like, you know, if this goes the other way, you can kind of wipe your tail with your license and your practice. Like, it's not going to matter. Right. Like our freedom is at stake here. What our kids grew up in, what my kids are growing up in, I want them to have the same thing that you, me, and Super Don had as kids, you know?
Yeah. Well, we see that the encroachment of the medical police state, pharmaceutical church, religion, or cult, however you perceive it to be, is such that it has grown in power and influence within our government by capturing our government agencies in violation of the Constitution and our fundamental freedoms. And you know what? If people want vaccines, they want drugs, I've never stood in their way if that's what they want. But to establish that system of medicine as the only allowable form of medicine. And you think, well, no, Robert, there are chiropractors. They're allowed to I'm like, are they allowed to speak about vaccine issues? Well, in some states, they've been muzzled, threatened with loss of license. That's not your scope of practice. Well, anything that interferes with innate intelligence is the scope of practice of a doctor of chiropractic. All right? I'm not speaking on behalf of licensing boards, but I'm just speaking on behalf of the truth here. And I want doctors of chiropractic to push against their boards if their boards are standing against their freedom of speech here.
Amen. And I'm telling you, if I was a president of, which I am friends with Dr. Guy Reekman, but if I was a president of a chiropractic school, you would be getting an honorary doctorate in chiropractic right now, because you understand the philosophy better than probably 50% of the doctors out there. I mean, so thank you for saying that, because you're totally right. I mean, the innate intelligence, that and subluxation, that's like the main thing of our profession. Our profession was founded on neurology. Mm-hmm. And so this is a time for, maybe we couldn't speak out against vaccines, but you can speak out against freedom. There's no medical board in the world. That is a constitutional right that you have. Mm-hmm. And, I just can't believe all the dads that are sitting at home, because when my boys look back 20 years from now or 30 years from now, I want them to say, you know what? My dad had the guts, no matter what, to stand on that wall, and he was going to make sure to stand up for my freedom. And that's what he put his life on the line for when he was in the Marine Corps. Mm-hmm. And I think as men, we need to really get back to that idea, because I can't tell you how many phone calls Billy and I have made, and guys are like, yeah, we can't make it. We're just worried about the practice. And I'm like, come on, guys.
What? What do we say to a doctor of chiropractic that says that? Get a backbone.
Yeah, I like that. Absolutely. Very fitting. Very fitting.
So Billy D, you, many others, some unnamed here so far. There's too many, obviously, to thank, but you know who you are. I appreciate you and Dr. Cordie getting together on this. This is not a one-off scenario. We realize that these events, they come and they go. It isn't just about getting together and going, well, that was fun, and then going and stop whatever you thought you were doing at that time. It's living differently. It's recognizing that we cannot rest on the founders, right? We talk about 1776 forever free. Our founders knew that the defense of liberty is an ongoing pursuit. And the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence does not defend itself. The paper it's written on, whether it be hemp or otherwise, the ink that was used, is not going to defend our rights. We have to now stand up and recognize that if we can maintain our sleep status, our slumbering status, and say, you know what, that's somebody else's job. I'm just a doctor of chiropractic. That's somebody else's job. I'm just a homeopath. That's somebody else's job. I'm just a homeopath. I'm a radio. No, it's everybody's obligation to defend liberty. If not for yourself, then, of course, as you said, for your kids and grandkids, what will you tell them? Just as you asked those cops on the lawn in Sacramento, what will you go home to tell your children you did today? You slammed a pastor to the ground. You arrested moms for getting too close to one another. These are the questions that need to be asked consistently now among our circles of influence, among our peer groups within churches, synagogues, temples, mosques, etc., and recognize that it is spiritual warfare against us, that they would argue that we must be locked down and afraid of one another. That is Luciferian. That is not of God.
They said, Robert, in the Marine Corps, they said every Marine is a rifleman. So when I look at that message and when I think about that statement and that type of philosophy, is that, you can't pass the buck. You're in this situation. God put you in this situation to lead and take a step and stretch a muscle. And I'm a firm believer. I don't think God gives you anything that you can't handle. And, if you would have asked me a month ago if I'd ever run for public office, I would have said, no, I'm running for public office. I don't know what office yet, but hopefully my wife will still want to stay with me. Right. But I'm 100% running because, I thought about moving out of the state. I'm not doing it. I'm staying here and I'm fighting. And I hope brothers and sisters out there will join you and I and Super Don and people that are really defending humanity to say, you know what? We were born with liberty and the ability to worship and the ability to, if we want to carry a weapon or we want to take a medication or get a shot, that is our right and that is our choice. And I had grandparents and people that fought and died for this country, like I'm sure you and Super Don and some of our viewers. And I'm just not willing to have all that get thrown away and be in vain. I'm just not willing to do it.
My wife goes all the way back to the Jamestown Society and the Daughters of the American Revolution. So, and on my dad's side and his family and my mom, of course, immigrants more recently in the 20th century. And so we got a really interesting mix here. Folks, those who love liberty are stepping it up now. And oftentimes it comes from people who were born in other countries who came here by choice, not illegally, but because they recognize the opportunity in freedom. Just as our founders do, to establish a government that was limited in scope and power, that would defend our rights that come from God, not government. And that's a big part of what we do here, 2 hours a day, 6 days a week on the Robert Scott Bell Show, robertscottbell.com. We have a couple of comments here. Val is writing in. This is about chiropractic. Again, I don't mean to denigrate anybody, but I will acknowledge that there are some wussy chiropractors out there. Val says, my chiropractor is freaked out over the virus and has been closed until recently. You get your temp taken when you go in, and you have to remain in your car until they call you.
I don't know how to comment about that. I really don't. I'm going to smile on that one, Robert, because I don't know how to, just for legalities, I think based on what I said. Yes. But what I would tell Val is, I'll just say from my video, I'll key back to my video. That doesn't really pass the sniff test. Okay. So that's all. And I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but here's what I know about chiropractic. The body is a self-healing, self-regulating organism. It was designed to heal. And if it's not healing, there's got to be a reason and there's got to be a cause. Yeah. So I firmly believe that viruses and germs don't kill people. Compromised immune systems do. So there are things that I would do and would not do in my office based on that being the cornerstone of my philosophy and who I am. Now, I'm not going to say on a national audience what I'm doing or not doing right now, but that just doesn't pass the sniff test to me. And I would want to refer you to somebody else. That's what I would say to you. Yeah, if your chiropractor is afraid of germs, perhaps they need to go back to their origin point, learn about those who had established this, we call a vitalistic method of healing, not a molecular reductionist, a fear-based method or model of healing. And I don't know if that chiropractor could use an Atlas adjustment, perhaps so. So we have a few more minutes before the bottom of the hour, and I know how busy you are. As far as I know, California, they didn't shut down Doctors of Chiropractic like some states did, right? You were considered essential? No. Yeah, we're considered essential, which is so fascinating because, I think every business is essential. I had 2 patients come in today in tears because they don't know how they're going to survive. It's really getting to that point, Robert. So that's the other thing about the profession. If your practice is good, the fact that you can sit around and see other people suffer and not want to get involved, I think it's cowardly. I honestly do. I honestly do. Like I had 2 patients cry and they cried on my shoulder, and I did some emotional release work for them. First, I adjusted their brainstem, and then I said, I went in the back and I got teary-eyed in front of my girls, and I said, thank God we're doing what we're doing. Because I can't imagine sitting by and watching all of it just happen,
Amen, Brother Cordie. Super Don, can you read the comment or question from the Brooklynos? Big family fans of the Robert Scott Bell Show. They're part of our family here. And what is their comment or question?
Brooklynos say, how many views are you up to on that 11-minute video?
We are up to almost 7.2 million.
Nice.
On one platform, and then the other platforms, we kind of think it's like 13 or 14 million, like total.
Wow. Now, is that the full video? That's another part of the question here. Was there a longer video that had more of what went on, or is that just like a clip out of a larger video?
That scoop video is my entire speech, I believe.
Okay.
There's other stuff by Josh Coleman that was filmed all day, and I have other stuff on my site that had kind of the intermediary part. I don't know if Facebook took it down because they've started censoring us now, like big time. Like they won't even let us tag. Oh yeah, they won't even let us tag anybody now, right? And so people are finding it on Twitter, and they're like, "Hey Doc, keep putting it out on Twitter, keep putting it out on Twitter." But there was one that was up to 500,000 that had kind of the middle of when they started putting on the Starship Trooper stuff, where I'm speaking into the camera and I'm actually holding on a Facebook Live on my Facebook, and I'm talking to everybody about what's going on. That's probably down. I'll try to get my girls to find that if they haven't taken that down. Josh Coleman's got some really good stuff out there. Another one that was posted early on, I think it's American News. He's going to kill me for not knowing. American One News. Yeah, he's going to kill me. He's like, thanks, Doc. Thanks for the really bad plug. But my friend Ben from American One News or American News, we had clips of him early on my Facebook thread. He's got a really great video that starts at the beginning of the rally, and I think it goes the entire rally. And he's his videographer, and they just got all the techie stuff like you guys, and they're just amazing people. So he may have one. If I can find it, I'll have the girls repost it for sure.
I think you're referring to One America News Network.
No. There's a lot of American. Yeah, no, it's not Graham, and it's not OANN, but it's another one. When you get into American Network and American News, there's a lot of which I love that, but it gets confusing, right? It gets confusing.
All
so,
right. Any other follow-ups to the questions? Or
yeah, there was actually a couple things. Were you surprised by the number of police? And let me just clarify. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that was CHP that was there, right?
Yes, Super Don. It sure was. And there was probably like 700 by the end of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So were you surprised by the number of police that were there?
Yeah, I've been surprised every time. And honestly, I'm speaking at a rally yesterday, which, guys, the outpouring of love for people to say there aren't good-hearted Americans out there. I took 40 different pictures with people at a rally last weekend, 40 people. They came up and thanked me. I said, this isn't about me. It's about you. Thank you for showing up and being here. But yeah, I mean, even at the rally last weekend in Huntington, I believe it was, the governor gave us the breadcrumbs and he's allowing the beaches to be open. Like he's doing us a favor, right? It's like, oh, you can start breathing again. You can use air. Thanks, Gavin. Appreciate it. Right. But they were totally overstaffed. 150 cops, guys on horsemen, on horsemen. And then they had the drones, and it was a bunch of hippies protesting. We were out there just protesting. Like it was a very lackadaisical energy. So I'm like, why does there need to be this like staunch fear-based like presence? And that's the only thing I think, guys. I think it's just got to be like fear and intimidation on the part of the governor.
Yep, exactly what's happening. Links are up in the show notes at robertscottbell.com. You can find more about Dr. Cordie Lee Williams. Cordie, it's amazing. We've got the video link up that hasn't been censored. The T-shirt is amazing. $17.76 forever free. In fact, Cordie, my wife texted me while we're on the air going, I want one of those. So we'll have to place our order.
Put it in the mail. I think you and Super Don have one on the way.
Oh,
okay.
Awesome.
And just get me wifey's T-shirt size.
All right.
And we would love to bless you guys with that for sure.
Amazing. And the Liberty Fest, Saturday, May 23rd, high noon, Sacramento.
And there's an event going on tomorrow too, right?
There is, and it's in somebody else is going to kill me. But it's in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's in San Diego, guys. It's been a world. Hannah just tells me where to show up, and then I just go. She's like, "Don't screw it up. It's in your calendar."
Shout out to Hannah. She's amazing. She set us up today as well, and we got a great connection. Beautiful. I see your wife, and is it I can't tell. It's so small behind you there. That picture is great.
Get you. Maybe I can pull it in there where you can see past my big head.
Yeah. And your wife was pregnant carrying another one, which I'm sure she's had by now.
She had one in the oven in that picture.
Yeah.
And that's little Reese. We call him Reese Peasy. And then my 3.5-year-old is little Cordie, and he's a fighter like me. He's
These
He's
kids,
a bull in the china shop.
they're choosing their families well right now, coming in with you guys too. And Super Don, thanks for sharing that San Diego event as well. That's coming up tomorrow, and the weekend has almost arrived. Dr. Cordie, anything else that you need to relate before we let you go? I know how busy you are in the midst of seeing patients and interviews.
No. Just thank you to all the Americans that are showing up. If you're out of state and you don't have a rally to go to, we'd love for you to be in Sacramento. Because the fight is everybody. We're in this together. If your state's opened up and you see what's going on and you got a servant's heart, come help us out. We need numbers. We need people. Because if it can happen in our state, it can happen in yours. And America is moving in a really, really, in my opinion, a really toxic direction. And we need freedom fighters. So if you're in a state that's open, it's $120 on Southwest to get from San Diego to Sacramento. Flights are really cheap right now. We could use you. We'd love your help. Message us. God bless you guys.
All right. Thanks, Dr. Cordie Lee Williams. #Megaphone Marine here on the Robert Scott Bell Show. He's always got an open door to be on board with any announcements, and we look forward to hearing more from him and those that are inspired by him and that inspire him, because we are inspired by everybody that is indeed showing up. We're going to take a break. Protect yourself from harmful EMFs, 5G, from Synergy Science, key technology that we use. I got my wife back because of this technology, y'all. Not exaggerating a bit. We got a big online webinar that's coming up next week. We'll tell you about that and some more questions and answers. We'll talk immune system and more after this, because the power to heal is yours.
Today, we live in an omnipresent cloud of charged particles emitted by electronic devices, electromagnetic fields, WLAN, and radio waves. These particles penetrate our bodies and heat the water in our body tissues. Recent scientific studies have shown that this particle flux not only heats the cells in our bodies as if we were in a microwave oven, but damages them as well. At Key Technologies, we want to protect you from the negative effects of such particles, so we have developed the Key Home Cell and other products. The Key Home Cell creates a protective field that works like a filter, intercepting any dangerous particles before they can enter your body. Here we have a partial look at the inner workings of the Key Home Cell. The Key Home Cell generates a charge exchange between the water tubes, thereby discharging free electrons and releasing them into the room. Within 24 hours, the Key Home Cell creates a torus field. The free electrons formed in the torus use their negative charge to bind to the positively charged harmful particles, thereby rendering them harmless to you. The torus field has an effective range of 16.4 feet above and below, and 24.6 feet around the device. The torus field created by the Key Home Cell is transmitted and provides you with protection through the walls of your home. Not only humans and animals are shielded from harmful radiation, but plants and food too. Whether mobile radio waves or WLAN, any particles that come within the torus field can no longer cause any harm to you or your family. The Key Home Cell provides you with all-around protection, allowing you to communicate with absolute peace of mind when using your cell phone or any other electronic devices. The Key Home Cell's free electrons are transmitted into the water through the torus field and repairing the water structure that was destroyed by radiation particles. Water regains its ideal vibrating hexagonal grid structure. The difference is easy to taste and can be proven with laboratory testing. This type of perfect hexagonal water structure is found in fresh spring and healing water and has also been seen in snowflakes. The same effect happens with our food, which also contains water. The Key Home Cell greatly reduces radiation exposure from cell phones, laptops, WLAN transmitters, mobile terminals, and other sources of radiation. The Key Home Cell drastically reduces the thermal stress on your body tissue. It is very fast and very easy. With the Key Home Cell, you will experience a new quality of well-being within your home and more life energy without any unhealthy exposure to radiation.
All right, links to Synergy Science are there in the show notes at robertscottbell.com, including the links to other things you'll want to know about. And you can learn more about this technology than you've ever thought we had a chance to, communicate. Coming up the 19th of May at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, 1 o'clock Pacific. And that is a live webinar with Q&A, and it's hosted by my friend Trevor King, along with Dr. Batar and I. We'll welcome you to that. There's a free registration online. You can link to it in the show notes today. Just scroll down. 5G and EMF Nightmare, why you should be concerned and what you can do. Always leaving you with the what you can do. Also, the Advanced Medicine Conference, we'd love to see you in person. It'll also be streaming online Memorial Day weekend. Super Don, we need to work on our link ups as well with our friends at Autism One. They're also doing a virtual weekend Autism One conference. So there's a lot going on that weekend, including what Dr. Cordie has mentioned and others that we'll be doing. You think about Memorial Day. Are we memorializing the dead, those who have fought for our country, right? Who have paid the ultimate price?
Right.
And we're not willing to stand up for freedom here now? Memorial Day? Come on. This is more than just about eating. This is much, much more serious what's going on now, what we're witnessing. And it's medical tyranny. It's the allopathic church that is the tool that's being used to batter us into submission. But not here, not now, not ever, not on the Robert Scott Bell Show. What other announcements do we have to make, Super D, before we do some more cute questions and a couple more stories today?
Well, we've got our, is it our 4th now? AMA coming up?
Yeah, I think it's number 4. Yeah.
4th AMA coming up on Monday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. This is over on Patreon.
Which, by the way, some of our Patreons will be getting one of these. I'm holding up Ula's T-shirt because she's like the champion up there, and she's got a V-neck. They're all irregular necks. I apologize, but we got multiple sizes. So if you are a Patreon at the level to get a T-shirt, let Super Don know your size.
And I'll actually be, if you want to, you can just send me a message or something like that. But I will be this weekend. I'm going to be busy.
Okay.
I've got to get all caught up on the T-shirts and the Patreon. I've got some emails that are going to be going out over the weekend that I got to put together. And I know I've got 12 other things I'm not thinking of right at the moment. So anyway, if you are a patron on Patreon, be on the lookout for a direct message coming through Patreon asking you for your T-shirt size.
Okay.
And we'll get that worked out.
Yeah. And what are we giving away for our patrons? One fortunate winner.
160 count of the raw CBD oil. What do they call them? Soft gels.
Yeah. Plus CBDoil.com. And if you don't win, you can still get it at 30% off. RSB 30 is the discount code that they're giving us to use for CV Sciences, which is awesome.
So if you want to be a part of the live Q&A, which they call an Ask Me Anything, which you would be surprised some of the questions that we do get, they literally do ask us anything. Just head on over to Patreon. You can click on the banner at our website and join for as little as $4.99 a month.
Excellent. So let's see what else is going on in our notes today, things that we have yet to cover. We'll try and figure it all out and put it all in there. I think, it's a QOTD.
Excuse me. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
All right, that's question of the day time, and it is from Mark. Mark writes, Robert, I found out about you 2 weeks ago via a broadcast on Echo 2 via Dr. Bitar. Oh, I think they did an Echo seminar about the Echo hydrogen water with Dr. Bitar and Paul. The guy that ran it said you are the one who helped him solve his gut issues. I spent, what is this number for real, Super Don? He says, I have spent $400,000 in the last 7 years.
That sounds like a lot.
Now, I know it's probably more than $400.
How many years?
7 years, $400,000.
7 years, but yeah, listen. If you've seen any hospital bills, especially if you end up in the hospital, if they've got you there, they hold you for a few days, or if you have any kind of surgery or something like that.
Yeah,
$400,000. That can be kind of low compared to some of the other expenses I've seen.
Dude, I am so out of touch.
Believe it. In 7 years, I could believe it.
Right. Well, we can do that for a few $100s, and you're not paying me a thing. Just sort of relate some of these things, but man, where were we? $400,000. You know how many people we could reach with that?
We'll take 10% of that.
All right, Mark, thank you for writing in. Let's see what it says. Now I'm living to week to week because of that. Thanks to that. So, yeah, we talk about medical bankruptcies, right? And, of course, that's not an argument for socialized medicine here. It is used by leftists all the time and go, see, we need freedom and healing and competition to bring down the cost for everybody, and that would mean the cost of other things that do not cost much that actually work, unlike modern medicine in these cases. My gut is massive gas pressure. This is Mark saying. Severe hiatal hernia last 7 years. No matter what I eat, my ilio valve or Houston valve act up. I have to see one of my 2 chiropractors 6 to 8 times a week, sometimes twice a day to fix my gut. pull down the hiatal hernia and adjust my valves. That's kind of like what Dr. King talks about, how he can adjust, different valves in a sense from external perspectives without surgery. He says, I have severe constipation. I take 24 pills at bedtime to have a bowel movement the next day. Been like this for 30 years. Now I'm dependent on them. Herbal laxatives and magnesium citrate. What would you suggest I do to fix my gut, Mark? Oh, good Lord. This is a tough one. I mean, this is not minor. And I've talked about, in the chapter of Unlock the Power to Heal that I wrote with Ty Bollinger, and we have it available for free, Mark, if you haven't already figured that out. If you go to robertscottbell.com, scroll down a little bit on the right-hand side, or if you're on your phone, go all the way down, you'll see it. Free chapter on the silver aloe protocol. And it is an accelerator in terms of restoring integrity to the tissue, the connective tissue within the gastrointestinal tract. Now, it's silver and aloe combined. They don't come together. You get your Sovereign Silver or Gent 23, you get your Stockton Aloe 1 from Dr. Haley Nutrition, you put them together right before drinking, an ounce of each, or you can do more aloe to carry it. 3 times a day on an empty stomach. If you do pre or probiotic replenishment, that's at night before bedtime. You can also, and this could be 2, 4, 6, or 8 weeks, but it's likely based on your history, 8 weeks. And what it's doing is restoring integrity to the system that has been utterly destroyed. If you're saying 30 years you've been suffering with this and you have no motility at all, no movement at all, without massive irritants, if you will, natural albeit, but to be able to have a bowel movement, we've got some work to do. Now, there are adjuncts that I reference in the book, including homeopathic remedies for the upper GI enzyme restoration. That's from my friend Dr. Frank King, drkings.com. And lower GI restoration, that's probiotic restoration with a homeopathic slant, so to speak. And then there's CanGest from Alta Health Products, which is the most brilliant formulation. It's not sexy and new. It's generational. It's been there for a while. But you can get that from Jonathan at choosetobehealthy.com. If I go back to the website, just because Mark is new, I'll show everybody on screen how to do that. I'm going to scroll on up until I find the choosetobehealthy.com website link. There's a banner somewhere over here. There it is. I went up high enough. It rotates. So I click on that link. It'll take you to choosetobehealthy.com. There are probiotics from Dr. Ohhira's, and there's also Flora probiotics. But we will go to Alta Health Products here on the left, and you will see that CanGest. That is a kind of a little bucket. It's got a teeny tiny little spoon, but what you want to do is discard it because you're going to use a level teaspoon, and you'll put it into warm water to activate it. 3, maybe even a 4th time a day. Drink it down with warm water along with the Silver Aloe Protocol. That'll be accelerating function as well to help restore function. It's not instant, but it will help accelerate recovery. And one of the other critical Alta Health products is the silica. Remember, connective tissue is dependent upon having adequate amounts of silica, and this is a whole food form of silica. And you may, initially, you're targeting to go to 3 tablets 4 times a day, but your system might be so corrupted, you might wait a couple of weeks and strengthen the system and begin to load that into the system, and then you'll moderate that as you go. This is not treating any disease, Mark. This is restoring integrity to the structure, which also, of course, follows on that function will resume as your body begins to realize, oh my gosh, the parts are there and they actually have integrity and they work again. And so it's a retraining of your body. Now, there may be other habits or patterns that have set in prior to those 30 years even that need to be worked on from an emotional and mental perspective. It's not all physical. And I don't know what those might be in your case, but I would not want to ignore other patterns that have emerged. So if it's through prayer or whatever methods you can use to break the cycle of anything that might be emotionally linked to the situation, then go with that as well. Did I miss anything, Super Don? Dr. Super Don?
I am not a doctor. I just play one on TV.
Mm-hmm. All right. That's good commentary. So why don't antibodies guarantee immunity? This is after my wife tells me, make sure Mark is eating clean food. Did I neglect to mention that? Sorry, honey. Yes, organic quality, non-GMO food is a no-brainer. And if you're not sure about why that's important, watch the film Secret Ingredients. I think you can go to secretingredientsmovie.com and get Jeffrey Smith's and Amy Hart's movie. That will change everything for you. All right, so let's go to Medical Express. Interesting article here. Why don't antibodies guarantee immunity? Because they're now having to answer this question because in the era of COVID-19, they're saying, well, just because you had it and we can test you for it and we claim that you have antibodies for it doesn't mean you're immune. It's like, wait, what a minute. Wait, whoa. What do you mean? Right? Your holy grail have been antibodies. That's why you said we all have to be vaccinated. That we're stupid if we don't. Because herd immunity, right? Even though there's no evidence that herd immunity has ever been established via a needle, other than through naturally acquired interaction with this on an ongoing basis. Talk about, measles or chickenpox, for instance. Why do people suffer from chickenpox as adults? They call it shingles, even if they've had the chickenpox and clearly means they have antibodies for it. Well, partly it's because we've shut down the ability of the free flow of things in our environment, our microbiome or virome, if you want to call it that constantly reminds us, gently telling us, oh, you remember this, remember this, remember this? Yeah, my immune system knows and it's strong. But just knowing it without the strength is not good enough. I always say, if you're tied down to the railroad tracks, and let's say in this analogy, you have a train coming at you and you might say, oh, that's smallpox or that's COVID-19. But you're tied down to the railroad tracks. Like, whoa. How am I supposed to get up and out? Well, exactly. I would argue that the vaccines tied you down to the tracks, but they might argue, well, at least you have a pair of binoculars so you can see the train from a further distance. Yet you still can't get off the tracks, even though you've identified it, see it, you know it, just like your immune system knows it, but it can't function because you've been damaged by the injection, not enhanced by it. Simply because the injection, at least to this point, has been all about the holy grail in vaccine immunology, of even artificial stimulation of an antibody into existence. But the immune system is much more complex than that. The antibody is not the be-all, end-all any more than Fauci is. And they now have to acknowledge that because they're saying that, but now they have to defend their vaccines along with that. So back to this article. Let's see if there's anything that's not too complicated to hit real quick here. Yeah, they bring up the COVID issue, right? Antibody tests. And so they have to acknowledge it in the era of COVID because people are saying, well, doctors, experts are saying, well, antibodies might not be enough, right? Now, we would acknowledge that these antibody tests are not specific to COVID-19, whatever that may be. They could be in general. Anytime you've interacted with the coronavirus, you're going to have cross-reactivity. It's non-specific, just like an HIV test, which is not an HIV test. So the scam of tests is something we don't let them get away with here, although the mainstream media never questions the test. If it's a test, oh my gosh, it's got to be great. Even as we acknowledge the tests were contaminated with COVID-19 initially, and the president of Tanzania tested pawpaws and goats, and they all came up positive for antibodies for COVID-19 or just coronavirus antibodies. So antibodies, known as Ig, immunoglobulin, are specialized proteins that bind to uniquely shaped object called an antigen that is found on the surface of a pathogen. So again, this is all germ theory. These pathogens can be just bacteria, viruses, whatever. Antibodies also produced by B lymphocytes, which, by the way, are enhanced by the presence of the active state of silver. Talk to you about silver's ability to modulate and make efficient your immune response. Not only that silver can kill things that you might not like, but it's not going to kill you, unlike the antibiotics or the vaccines potentially. There are B cells, B helper cells, and then we can get to T cells as well in this regard. They talk about plasma cells releasing large amount of antibodies into circulation. The two ways it protects: binding to antigens on the outside of pathogens to stop it from entering our cells. And this, they say, is important for viruses. Even though viruses spew out from within our cells, they don't necessarily have to go in. They're already there. These are known as exosomes. Go back to Monday's discussion with Dr. Thomas Cowan. Second, they can bind to antigens on the pathogen, and they signal other white blood cells known as phagocytic cells, phagocytosis, to eat them, engulf and destroy them. So these are some of the ways that it can work, but there's much more than that, because the healthy cell itself, the entire system, every cell operating in such strength and vitality because you have adequate minerals like selenium, like chromium, like you're not overwhelmed and overburdened by toxicological insults from external sources or metabolic waste that are not being excreted efficiently because your liver and kidneys have been hammered by what? Drugs and vaccines, even aspirin, ibuprofen, Tylenol, destroy your elimination system, and that leads to an accumulation of metabolic and or environmental toxicological wastes. Some you know about, some you don't. And all of these things burden the metabolic functioning of every living cell in your body. Corrupt the terrain of your what? Immune system. The seed of it is what? Your gastrointestinal system, your GI tract. So you can have all the antibodies in the world and your gut has been decimated, like Mark's before, via antibiotic therapy or any number of drugs, chlorinated water, etc. Which leads us to the next article that is so very important. And I'll see what I can do before we have UK Health Radio drops, and then we'll go further into it with your questions and comments. The microbiome controls immune fitness. This is kind of a secondary article. It's not directly linked, but Super Don did a great job bringing this in right after that one because it explains why antibodies are not enough. It's the microbiome that controls immune system fitness. And again, these are coming from peer-reviewed medical scientific published literature, and I don't know what skeptics do with this stuff because it says the antibody is not enough. But your holy grail, artificially induced, is not enough. Even naturally acquired, it's not enough. The body's epithelial tissues represent the potential gateway for pathogens. This is why I invest my time and energy in restoring epithelial integrity. This is why the Silver Aloe Protocol and the use of silica are so critical. Because if your epithelium is destroyed or damaged or inflamed, now you have leaky whatever. Which, by the way, your obsession with hand sanitizers, Fauci, or whoever, is causing leaky hands, making you more vulnerable, not less vulnerable, to whatever may be traveling around, if you're into the germ theory the way I know you are. We have a microbiome, we have a virome, inside and outside of us. Interaction with us is not dangerous, it strengthens us, unless we've been corrupted. How? Via puncturing our epithelial barrier. What are the one ways they do it? The dumb doctors, stupid doctors do? Hepatitis B vaccines from the day you're born. Vitamin K injections the day you're born. Doctors are there to help you? No, they're the first assault and insult to your integrity. That they'd be willing to indiscriminately inject everybody with aluminum-containing vaccines or mercury-derived, what we call them, preservatives that still exist in there. So if we go back to this article real quick, and then we'll have to wrap up, and we'll follow up on part 2 when we go into bonus time here. Presence of an infection triggers the body's immune response. A key role in this process is played by conventional dendritic cells, funny enough, called CDCs. CDC is enough to elicit an immune response in me. But conventional dendritic cells, they form part of the body's innate immune system. Oh my gosh, we have innate intelligence, and carry a range of pattern recognition receptors that enable them to detect invading pathogens quickly, or that which is already there. But invading in this sense is like you punctured your epithelial barrier. Pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, GMOs, glyphosate, all of these things can puncture you from within. The cell's initial responses involves a release of cytokines. These are immune cells responding to you, can elicit immune response like inflammation for your protection, but it can go into chronic states. They can also use phagocytosis to engulf and digest them. This in turn leads to the activation of T cells, which form part of the adaptive immune system. Again, innate and then adaptive response. They work together. It's very complex. It's not just one thing. It's not just antibodies. So if you've eliminated one part of this, because vaccinations destroy one thing with the Holy Grail reach for the antibody, you're not better off. You're worse off. Chronic disease is inevitable. Chronic inflammation is the result. That's why we see 54% of Western American kids suffering with chronic diseases. Diseases of what used to be called diseases of old age. All right, I've got to hold off there. We'll revisit this. Super Don's monitoring the feed. If you guys got questions and comments before we hit the weekend, then I've got to interact with my good buddy John Rappaport for Sunday's broadcast on GCN, our home and broadcast radio syndication. Please share the show, host watch parties, give us a thumbs up. Remember, this is the place for health, freedom, and healing liberty, 2 hours a day, 6 days a week. Back in just a moment to wrap it up. Any questions or comments, Super Don will find them. The power to heal is yours.
The Robert Scott Bell Show. Robert Scott Bell Show.
Scott Bell Show.
Check out a sweet offer that my friends at Better Way Health give. This is an immune boosting supplement that you can't get anywhere else.
Beta-glucan activates and enhances your immune response to invaders.
These things are brilliant for modulating the immune system.
Someone has a need for help in supporting their immune system, I'm looking at the glucan product.
It's amazing, and there's been an enormous amount of research done on this.
It's the most studied immunomodulator on Earth, with over 14,000 published studies referencing beta-glucan, and it's currently being tested in roughly 100 clinical trials.
If you like your dietary supplements with validated science, there's nothing that has more behind it than the beta-1 3D glucan from Better Way Health.
Probably the most heavily researched substances that I'm aware of that modulates the immune system.
It rebuilds your immune system.
Consistency and quality are everything.
Here, you want to see my supplement drawer? Here it is. Get ready.
I was putting together my research and I tripped on this supplement called beta-glucan.
There it is. It's very small. I take beta-glucans, immune booster.
You don't have to worry that you're overstimulating the immune system. We have been just amazed.
I take like 2 a day from Better Way Health.
It's been tested against about 36 other immune boosting products and found to be superior.
If you have an immune system or you want one, beta-1 3D glucan, that transfer point is very unique. It's going to get the results that you're looking for. I support it and I use it.
Better Way Health, I got to tell you, you can spend more time, you can spend more money, but you cannot give better service than you're going to get from those guys down there. They are truly 24 karat.
The brand you want to get is called Transfer Point Beta-1 3D Glucan, and you can get it from betterwayhealth.com. Let's spread the message about beta-glucans. It's a powerful substance from nature that can help you.
All right, there we are. Here we are. We're almost to the weekend. Super Don, man. I'm just praying so people know that. No, I never really suspended you. It was all in good fun this week. Here I am praising you behind the scenes for your selection of stories today, and in particular the last two that we just covered, and I've got a little bit more to cover on them before we get into Q&A. And then the third one in the mix that is brilliant. It just the how it flows so beautifully to help people really get to a deeper level of understanding of how the immune system works. I mean, that's masterful. It's PhD Super Don level producing. I'm just saying. Just in case anybody thought that I was still mad at you, because I never was.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
So, shall I monitor the feeds real quick? I want to follow up on this the second article. Right, we talked about why antibodies don't guarantee immunity, and now we're going into actual immune response. These are two great articles at Medical Express. I want you to read and study, give you a better understanding of. Some of you are already there, so that's fine. But bear with me. A lot of new folks on the show, watching and listening. So we talk about innate and then adaptive. And one leads to the other, and they're complementary. But if you destroy one or the other, you're not better off. And that, unfortunately, the allopaths who love vaccination, who have a dogma, a religious devotion or cult-like devotion to it, are not using the intelligence God gave them, much less their medical degree, which you think they should know this stuff. But they don't get much training in vaccination, I agree. The researchers in this article, led by Professor Diefenbach, found that CDCs, we talked about CDCs earlier, that's not the Center for Disease Control, it's conventional dendritic cells, all right, are incapable of triggering immune responses in sterile conditions in germ-free mice. Again, your immune system doesn't work in sterility. Cleaning yourself up and out is not healthy. We are meant to interact with a lot of information on a constant basis. That's the whole point of those doctors out in, Bakersfield, California, that got all the hatred from leftist lovers of Fauci, and they were censored. Doctors censored for daring to relay their concerns about shutting down the healthy people and locking down healthy people and not allowing healthy people to interact with healthy people. To wear masks, to over-rely on cleaning and cleansing, right? There's basic hygiene, but there's insane levels of hygiene that go to Howard Hughes level that they all want us to do now. So there's more details on this. They go into interferons and other cytokines. I'll leave it at that because I want to get to your questions. But one more article here to wrap this thing up. I had one of my longtime listeners, big super fans, ask me about nonstick pans because she's visiting a family member and all they have are nonstick pans. I'm like, dude, don't eat on those. just don't eat. Or eat raw food. Don't eat what she's cooking, because if it's on there, you're going to get these persistent organic pollutants in your system that corrupt you. And here's an article that says celiac disease, which, I thought it was genetic. Celiac. You have celiac, right? But apparently you can poison yourself into celiac. Elevated blood levels of toxic chemicals found in pesticides, nonstick cookware, and fire retardants have been tied to an increased risk for celiac in young people. This has been something I've been saying for as long as I've been doing radio, much less this broadcast media and other ways. This is coming from NYU Grossman School of Medicine, finding out that your intolerance to gluten may not be genetic as much as it is toxic. And this is why, when we heal the gut of those people that were claimed to be celiac, wrongly diagnosed or even correctly diagnosed, that we can reverse it, and then they can eat food that contains gluten as long as that gluten is not containing glyphosate. Again, another toxic, persistent organic pollutant coming in from Roundup Ready crops or desiccating grains. So if you try heirloom variety wheat, durum, or I don't know what they call it, in Italy, for instance, people that can't eat the wheat in America because it's hybridized and soaked, even some of the organic stuff, they go to Italy and are like, man, I do great on that. I break down and have an Italian imported frozen pizza. It's one of my Super Don. It's one of my weaknesses. We have a tradition, right? There are organic frozen pizzas you can get. We don't have any organic pizza places. There's a farm to table pizza place we sometimes do, but
you ever make your own?
Yeah, we have done that too, which is fun. I usually jazz it up, but there's an organic one imported from Italy, organic Italian wheat, and I do so much better on that than there are American versions of organic pizzas that you can get frozen, for instance. Break down, make an easy day of it. Give your wife a break, right? And so I do great on that. No problem. And I've had some problems in the past with organic wheat from America. Why? Because of what it contains. Also because of it's hybridized to such a degree that, there's so much gluten and protein that it's not normal to what we've historically been eating, okay? And I know this will upset all of my keto friends. Oh, no grains allowed. I'm like, no, there are grains in the Bible. You can eat them. Just find the clean, organic, quality, non-GMO, no glyphosate stuff. So anyway, that's a cool study validating, not that I was needing the validation, Super Don, but thank you for those stories. Validating the things I've been reporting as a renegade homeopath on radio for now my 21st year. So there you go. Big head, Robert Scott Bell can't fit through the door anymore. Thanks a lot, buddy.
Yeah, I believe that.
Okay, I turn it over to you, my friend. What else we got to do before the weekend starts?
Officer Hayes says Trader Joe's organic pizza from Italy is great.
Yeah, that's my favorite. I have to say, it's a weakness I have. I grew up on pizza when I could eat Domino's, all those years ago when I was a toxic little kid that didn't know better, and had to undo all of that by going organic and clean. And we still find ways to enjoy the things we used to, but with cleaner versions of them. It's not something I do every day, but it's fun to do.
Murdoch says cauliflower pizza. I got to tell you something.
Gag.
There was a time on this show, and it was our buddy Steve Feld.
Mm-hmm.
Him and I got into it over pineapple pizza.
By the way, Steve Feld also, he designed the shirt.
The shirts, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I got to tell you, the cauliflower being used to make everything you can think of craze is one of those things that just irritated me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, listen, when I go to the store, if I want to buy some rice,
I
want some rice.
Mm-hmm.
If I would like to have some little pieces of cauliflower that you can pretend is rice, then I'll add, that's not rice. That's cauliflower.
Picky.
And it's like cauliflower. It's the
Right.
crust. They make the crust out of cauliflower.
So they do everything out of cauliflower now? I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, it's a thing. Over the last, a year or something like that, they've found like a million things that they take cauliflower and use that to pretend like it's something else.
Yeah.
I can't stand pretend food.
And,
it's like I like real food. Don't
definitely
don't get out cauliflower and tell me it's a roast or no, it's cauliflower.
And I'm recommending anybody that's not ready to have kids yet, do not rely upon cauliflower condoms either. They don't have a good reliability. If they're using it for everything, you said. So I'm just saying, don't use it.
I'm saying, like, of course, somebody has to jump to the defense of cauliflower pizza. I'm not saying that I've never eaten it, but I refuse to eat it. It's like it's like
you just on principle.
On principle. Ula says she loves cauliflower pizza.
What are we gonna? We're not going to argue with Ula. We're not going to argue with Ula. I think at that point now.
Look, I'll be honest. I have not tried it.
So there. Okay.
But with that said, does it really like? She says, "I can't believe it." She's like that. I can't believe it's not butter. Right? I can't believe it's not pizza crust.
Oh my gosh! All right. Well, you know what? If Ula cooks it, we'll eat it. We'll try it. All right. I'm just saying.
Murdoch says Ula has made her kids out of cauliflower. Look at that. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about.
What?
Hey,
what?
Mitch,
Yes.
I love cauliflower popcorn. That's not popcorn. It's cauliflower. It's not popcorn. You don't call it cauliflower popcorn.
But you get you sort of get what the intent is when they say that.
I've never understood. I just don't understand that.
Look,
it's
we just admit that we have our limitations. We can only go so far. Super Don won't do coffee enemas or cauliflower enemas.
I don't feel like I'm being a rebel. It's just, I don't know. Maybe I'm a little bit senile. I don't know. But it's just like, that just bothers me. Cauliflower popcorn. No,
it's too
not
old
popcorn.
to try something new.
It's cauliflower.
Yeah.
Call it cauliflower. It's not cauliflower. It's not cauliflower rice.
Okay.
No, it's cauliflower.
All right. So who out there is going to sign up, become a patron between now and Monday to be part of our next AMA? And Super Don, I ask you this because we still have the opportunity to do it via Zoom and see one another. And I know you're reluctant to do it for some reason, but
I don't care. I mean, we could try it. We just haven't tested it yet. And I would hate to have this like to now as our AMA and then try it and then have some kind of issues with it. We haven't tested it out.
What we could do is
like you. I don't just like jump into things without.
I go right into the deep end, don't I?
Like, let's go. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Bring
what
it.
The heck? Bring it. Right. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, we'll figure it out one way or another. We got it Monday coming up. So who y'all signing up and get Super Don your t-shirt sizes if you're one of the qualifying levels.
If you're on Patreon, this is only going to Patreon members right now. Now, after we have fulfilled our obligation to the Patreon members with the t-shirts, what we have left over, we'll figure out a way to make available to everybody else. But if you want to get yours right now, you want to be right there in the front of the line, you can do that by joining Patreon. I think it's on the $25 level, I think.
Okay.
That gets you.
And dude, if you realize how much it costs to do this, you're just, that 1 month is pretty much covering the shirt. So, but
look, I mean, the shirt is just a perk.
Yeah, it's just a nice way to say thank you, and it's worth it. I'm not complaining. I'm grateful that we could finally do it. I really am. So,
and we're only 10 away from hitting 100 too.
Yeah. So the Brookolinos, we're how many? You said?
10. You're not paying attention.
I was already looking at comments. I'm sorry, but you said we're 10 away. That means it's getting close. Michael Bolden is on notice when we get to 99. He's going to be 100. So got to keep him in the mix.
If you want me to go in, you see, here's the thing, because I've been challenged to go into Walmart and shop in the produce section wearing like a big horse head mask or something to kind of mock the everybody else wearing masks thing. If we don't hit that 100 soon, it's not going to be as funny because everything's starting to open.
Right.
Oregon, I think today's the 15th, right?
Yeah.
It happens today. So I literally can go get a haircut finally.
Yeah. Do they have something like Beware the Ides of May? I've heard that like there's I know it's the Ides of March, but the people are saying that know us the sun, the moon, all that stuff. They talk about retrograde stuff. I don't know. I'm just trying
to
retrograde stuff. I don't know if we're going to be able to communicate next week. I don't know. We're going to try anyway. But what I was saying is, Brookolinos, remember we opened with that video of Trump going, we're going to activate the military, deliver vaccines. They say a little bit of good news and maybe a little hope. Did you hear that today? The president said not everyone will want the vaccine. There will be other options. Well, look, I know the guy knows about the danger of vaccines. There's no question in my mind. The question is, why would he say we're going to activate the military to deliver them? I still don't get it. It just makes no sense to me. Why?
Just listen. The military is designed and trained for distribution, logistics. They know how to do that. So I mean, that's one of the things. That's why when you need something done, you call out the Army Corps of Engineers, right?
Sure.
They're trained for that sort of thing. So a lot of people, and I understand why people may jump to the conclusion, and whatever. I mean, I suppose it's possible that that the military could just start marching on the streets and tanks will pull up to your house and force you to get a vaccine. I don't see that happening. I think he's meaning more on trying to find the most effective way of distribution across a large number of people. So I don't see it as a threat, like it's some kind of forced, checkpoint thing with the military.
Right.
I could be wrong, but I just
I don't know. I just am not a fan of using the military for other than a constitutionally declared war. All right, maybe you can argue humanitarian efforts after a disaster, but even then, I don't know, dude. I'll take a little bit of good news. Yes. And
Heidi in the chat room, she's in Oregon as well. She's a former or a fellow Oregonian, which I am now in Oregon. I mean, I'm a native Californian, but I've been in Oregon longer than I was in California. So now I'm here. She says, "Good luck, Super D. I'm in Newberg, Oregon, and the lines for a haircut are freaking ridiculous. I'm going to look like Cousin It by the time I get a trim." And I'm kind of on my way there as well.
Murdoch says, #give Super Don an afro.
On an afro.
What is that? What is that?
Could you imagine me with an afro?
Well, you could wear like that thing that Master Bong wears.
Well, yeah, I was going to say I would end up looking like, what's the name of the guy, the painting guy that used to have the TV show?
Oh, yeah, I know that guy. Yeah, I don't remember his name, but yeah.
That dude had an afro.
He had an afro. Yeah.
Anyway, somebody would say his
name. Who didn't have an afro? Well, our guest yesterday, Dr. Eric, and today, Marlon.
Bob Ross, that was his name.
It was Bob Ross, right? Yes, Bob Ross. Good job on the memory. Thank you all.
Yep.
All right, hope you had a great, silly time. We kid because we love. We got to find a way to lighten it up, and you guys are helping us to do that. Thank you. I'd say sign up for your email alerts, please, because we're going to be sending out some very important information. We've got some more giveaways that we'll do.
Maybe tonight or even tomorrow, we've got some announcements on some upcoming events that we definitely want you to get plugged into. So make sure you're signed up there. And also, listen, guys, I mentioned this earlier in the week when we had some troublemakers. I'm trying to be nice.
Yeah.
That were.
I think they got tired with us. They got bored with us today.
Pretty quickly, which is good. But, everybody around us in this space that we're in the health and wellness and health freedom and stuff like that, we're all under attack, and the more popular we get, we appreciate the opportunity of being able to reach more people with the message that we've got. But along with that comes some risk, especially in the world that we're living in right now.
Right.
And so, we've done what we can at this point to try and diversify
protect yourself.
Our technology so that we can avoid having to deal with being censored, in the event that one thing goes down, we'll still be on the air.
Well, and that's why y'all, if we get knocked out by any of these major platforms, please always come back to robertscottbell.com. We'll have one of the,
get signed up with the newsletter, because if anything happens, that's how you're going to find out first as to what's going on and what to do.
Yeah, and then you can always connect to the digital platforms that we have as redundancies that go out, and right there on our page, you can watch us, and appreciate that so very much. So, all right, it's almost the weekend officially now. I'm going to connect with John Rappaport soon, and we're going to have a great discussion. Our weekly discussions have been awesome. I don't know how many of y'all have been tuning in because it's just audio, even though we play it on YouTube and such. But it's levels of discussion that really, I don't know if they get me going. I'm like, yeah, this is great stuff. So y'all plug in on Sunday. We'll be back 1:00 Eastern for that through GCN, and Super Don blasts it out now on all the formats. We used to not be able to do that, but now we can. So you can catch it any which way you can. Any last requests before we head out into the sunset into the weekend?
Yeah, I don't see anything. So have a great day, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We will be back pre-recorded with John Rappaport on Sunday and back live on Monday. Have a great weekend.
Create a great weekend, y'all. Thanks for being here.